it like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pound, pound, pound. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Show you want to until you can turn back now. You don't know where I've been. What's going on inside? Where the monsters like to come alive, come alive. Do you really wanna know me? I'm really not that cozy. It's up to you, so you decide, you decide. Would you love me at my worst till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd, I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Na 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 na. Broken windows and a warning scribbled on my wall saying that you better turn around. Wouldn't be the first to try to burn me down. Your move, you too. Would you love me at my worst till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd, I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Na 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 na. Na na na. Could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're just getting sad. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Words till the coffin's in the dirt. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion.
Well, gatekeepers. Well, look at us. We're only 6, 7 minutes late. I apologize. Um, there is something about the music and the pictures and seeing the movies and in there's so many good movies in that little flash. There's a couple, I'm not even sure. I think the one where the lightning flashes and you can see something somebody standing outside of the window looking in. It's just really a creepy little flash. I think that's Night of the Hunter. I think that's Robert Mitchum, Night of the Hunter, but I could be wrong. There's a couple other ones in there where a lady's driving and it's an old, 1930s, 40s, maybe late 40s after the war. But she's driving and you see a ghost face in the passenger side window, like it's just following her as she's driving. It's for the time, that was pretty cool. But you got Reservoir Dogs, you've got um Sixth Sense and Kill a Mockingbird and King of New York with Christopher Walken, you know. Um so many different flashes. It's just neat, nostalgia and um or if you see something and you've seen it before but you can't quite place it, I think that gets you too. And it's just neat to revisit all that. And then you've got the Halloween and it's spooky season and we're right up against it now. We've got like what, 2 weeks, folks? This is it. This is Here we go. It's the NASCAR of Halloween coming up. You know what I mean? It's just like prepping for a big, everybody's got plans and there's special food and there's costumes. And I hope you're making your costumes and I hope you've been, if you've got kids that you can make them for, do it. You know, I think our tradition was we go get one prop or one thing and then build off of that. So you always have something new, but you've made some of it as well. That was always cool. There was times where everything just we made everything. And it was so much fun. I can remember once when I was a kid with all my friends and we all went as a group and we planned this forever. Past notes in class on this subject, probably starting in July. And somebody came up with the idea we're doing dog catcher with the net and the outfit and the hat, almost like a Good Humor Man, but like a dog catcher, like when people wore uniforms back in the day. And at least like that anyway. And the big net, like a fishing net. And then it was a dog, a cat, a mouse, and a wedge of cheese. And we would chase each other down the street and run in order. So you could see the cheese running in the mouse and then the cat and then the dog and the dog catcher. We were supposed to have the dog catcher's wife and she was going to be in the curlers and the puffy kind of head covering, like old cook in the kitchen, kind of like Victorianish days, but with the big rolling pin, like she's chasing the dog catcher and then the dog catcher's chasing. You get it. Halloween. And Edna, how you doing, sweetie? Ted Branson. Hello, Yoda girl. Hello, Vixen. Hey, Midnight Society. How you doing, sweetie? How's everything? Big hugs. And Sapphire Elf, thank you for your hugs. I appreciate it so much. Ted, I saw you in here. Salvador, I saw you in here. Hello, hello, hello. If Lindsay's in here, I did not see. But if you're out there, listen, she's probably cooking something. Fall has got her, boy, and she's one hell of a cook. I'll tell you that. I haven't tasted anything, but if you could taste with your eyes, it's yummy. Just saying, it's very, very yummy. So I think I caught everybody. If not, I apologize. Let's see if we've got Ted. Ted. Let's see if we got, bless your heart. There he is. He's down here, way down here. Let's get this let's shake the bush and see if we get this old rattlesnake in here. What do you think? You ready? Thumbs up. There we got thumbs up. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Handsome in that buffalo plaid, I see.
Yeah, I love the buffalo plaid. I am flannel man. How's it
It's
going,
one
Cisco?
of my favorite colors.
Yep,
Buffalo plaid is one of my favorite colors. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Busy, busy, busy. It's that
Is it
time of
chilly?
year.
Chilly cold
I'm
there.
doing more appearances than ever, and then I've got, of course, the channels. I've got the radio show, which you know intimately about.
That
I've
sound
got
I
the
was doing
blog.
a live when that came out, but I was able to catch the last bit of it, and it was sounded really good.
Yeah, show of hands in the chat here. Did anybody listen to Cisco on my radio show last night?
Hey Ron, welcome in, welcome in. It was really good. Here's the thing, can they go back and listen to it now or no? Tell us about that.
I don't think they can right now. I think it's behind a paywall. You can join Aftermath Media and listen to it over
After
there,
after
aftermathmedia.org, I believe. And it's behind a paywall over there. But it it went well. We didn't have any trouble filling 2 hours, did we?
2 hours, we told all kinds.
We were
I
just getting
find it
started.
so hard to tell the story. In the book we talked about it. I wrote it, and then you put your thing behind it. And of course, the way we did the book, Steve is on my book. We are all children in the wilderness of the afterlife. So
A guided tour through a
the
haunted life.
guided tour through. Yes, exactly. So when I did the chapter about Dismal Swamp, you and I had talked about Dismal Swamp many a time. With the lost, wasn't there a civil war, and there was a whole
Yeah, there was like a
regiment
battalion or a regiment or something that marched in there and never
never
came
came
back
back.
out.
Never came back out.
The
There
Lost
was
Patrol or
where
whatever
there was
squad.
people who escaped all kinds of captivity, from slavery to POWs to all kinds of mess. Civilians running from, you know,
Yeah, it was a good hiding
whatever.
place because nobody would come looking for you.
I mean, my God, but does anybody ever stop and think what that must have been like? That swamp, I'll tell you, brought to you by Dunkin'
There's
Donuts, ladies and
alligators in
gentlemen,
it.
for no
Yes, thank
monetary
you.
gain whatsoever.
None.
Just the
Unsolicited
flavor,
endorsement, but Duncan, if you're offering free coffee, we'll
just the
promote you every
flavor of
show.
coffee, flavored coffee. Dunkin' Donuts, the official coffee of the
Pumpkin
Steve
Spice, the
Stockton
official coffee of the
media.
spooky season. And they've got a new one this year, Midnight Black or something like that.
No way.
Spider,
Don't tease me.
Midnight Spider
With
Black or
spiders?
something like that. Yeah, it's got a big
That sounds like
spider.
it's right up my alley. Does it taste like spiders? Was it made with real
It's made with
spiders?
real spiders, I'm sure.
To have that with a real Girl Scout cookie, boy, and that's an evening right there. That might even be a good Wednesday night thing.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Hello, everybody. So tonight, I don't know what we're talking about. We always aim to talk about something. It seems like we go all around it, and eventually
We
we go,
run
hey,
off the road eventually.
it's like a paranormal minefield with us, isn't it, Steve? You never know what you're gonna, but the explosions are good. It's like, oh look, a story. Oh look, another. Oh, there's another mystery, another thing, and another. Had an interesting conversations with Morano last night. She's a wonderful medium, and she came on, and we were talking about laughter as a healing energy, and pretty much facts as far as I'm concerned. Seeing it work, and not just for healing, but for cleansing houses and getting negative energy out.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit of In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy, and they did a big old study on it, got all the scientists in there. And when the scientists came on, he just basically said the same thing we just got done telling
Yeah.
everybody.
And speaking of mediums, did you hear about the one? She was short statured, and the cops got after her, and they put out an APB, be on the lookout for a small medium at large.
That's what I'm talking
But
about.
as
That
luck
stuff
would
is
have it,
gold.
she ran into a burning building and perished. So then she was a rare medium, well done. I got a
See,
million of
you
them.
got a million of them. God bless you. See, this is what I'm talking about, folks. Do you feel better already? Don't you? Just for the smile, just for the laugh. But that's just it. Steve and I go at Halloween like we can't do enough. Like I'm dropping treat
Yeah.
bags full of ghosts, 3 hour ghost.
Yeah, you've been on a roll. You're doing your own 31 nights of Halloween, aren't you? I've been
Well,
doing it over
almost.
on 13 past midnight.
Wouldn't even attempt to try. I put some stuff up there, and I said, you know what? If people want to get in here and enjoy it, one night I forgot I had it. Came in after the fact, and that's the night we hit 2,000. Steve, I wasn't even there to see it. Ain't that something?
Yeah, I do
I
that
was.
all the
I had to
time. I'll
work
have a
late.
premiere, I'll schedule it, I'll get busy doing something else and be like,
I
my
had to
premiere
work late.
started 15 minutes ago and I'm not even in the chat.
Yeah, and I felt terrible about it, but I came in and everybody was congratulating me. Hey, Travis, welcome in. And Vixen, don't fight and say hello to you, love. Hello, darling. Um, So I come in and then I found out after the fact. So it was like, what? That's awesome. This is so cool. This is, and the second feeling was the people that were giving me the compliments, Froze Moments and Ted and Vixen and, a couple other people were popping in there. And I said, you know what? I wasn't in chat, but I know it was okay. And it was well handled. And everybody who went felt welcome because my mods were there. And that's a nice feeling to not,
Yeah,
so thank you, mods. Thank you, gatekeepers. Thank you, the Black Op mods and the ones with the big, big wrenches. And I appreciate you being there and keeping the chat,
keeping the peace.
welcoming and chill and keeping that love vibe going. Because here's the thing, it is it can be used as a conduit, Steve, for sending that energy out. So if somebody's not feeling good, listen, there was one night when my sister was here and I was trying to keep an eye on the chat and and talk to visit with them as well. And I saw people were in here, they weren't feeling very well when they first got in, and everybody was talking and enjoying the show. And it was one of those treat bags where it's just ghost, UFO, alien abduction, Bigfoot, 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 dog man, ghost, ghost, ghost. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like a big thing, a box of mixed chocolates without a guide with the box on it. You just, next one, next one, next one, next one.
When I was a
And
kid, my
everybody,
dad would get my mom those Whitman samplers, and I
oh,
would
I
mix the
love that.
candies up.
That's just mean.
So she would like, oh,
What a
this is
mean little
coconut
guy
cream.
you were.
Ah, what's this?
My nana used to get the great, great big ones. Like, it's so funny how you think it's like the biggest box of chocolates you could find. And I don't know, down at the Two Guys, the Woolworths, the Five and Dime, whatever. You get the big, big, I mean, massive. These things look like they had a robe in it, but it was chocolates.
Yeah, look the
You know,
size of a suitcase.
yeah, exactly. And you'd go to the house, and it'd last forever. And bless her heart, she'd offer you a piece, and she would go through, and you didn't have the guide, like you will with
You
Whitman
bite
sampler and
one,
be
if
on the
it's not
front.
something you like, you
No, she'd
stick it
poke it
back
from
in
the
there.
bottom. She'd poke it from the bottom, a hole in the bottom, and then she'd put it back. So I knew. So I didn't. I just picked them up. I said, "Hold on a minute." I pick it up and I'd look at the bottom. I went, "No, no, wait a minute."
No.
I put that one back and go to the next one. Look at the bottom. I knew my Nana. Isn't that funny? What a wonderful memory. Happy Halloween, Nana. If you heard that, I know she did. There you go. But isn't it just do you guys have memories like that of people
Yeah,
how
like I
they
said,
handled
my
their
mom, God bless her.
chocolate boxes?
I'm amazed that she
Oh,
didn't murder me in my sleep. But
look,
her heavenly birthday was the other day on the 14th.
bless her
96
heart.
years old had she still been alive.
Well, God bless her. You know what that means, Steve. You know what that means, chat. What does that mean? We
What's
were
that
just
mean?
asking. We were just asking. Let me see if I can find it. The chat was a little hungry and they got spoiled, Steve.
Must be time for bacon. Is my
On another
audio
show.
okay? I've been working with. I'm in addition to everything else. I'm narrating audiobooks now for other people,
Are you getting
and
hoarse?
I've got. Yeah, I'm going to go back and do mine. I'm doing the new ones that Legends and Stories from the Appalachian Trail. I'm narrating it right now for Audible audio books or what I don't know. My publisher's handling all that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Well, there we go. We've got.
Hey, Michael Aichiana. Yeah, my birthday's the
Hey,
31st,
Michael.
so
This is Lachana. Journey Through the Past, people, over on Amazon Prime. You go catch that. If you like
it's
history, you
excellent.
like
It's
ghosts,
excellent.
you know. So
We need to
because
have
now
him
this is
back on one night.
yeah, come on back on, Michael, before Halloween's here. Join us for one of our shows, or join us for our Cabin 22 night, or you can join us, Steve and I. You pick the night and come
And I'm
on in
still
here before
planning that
Halloween.
round robin storytelling thing. It's like herding cats, though, literally. And the
They better
cats,
get on it quick. They're
the
losing
six-toed
good people.
cats at that, the polydactyl cats, which we'll be talking about a little later, I believe.
Yeah, we are. We are. We got a little treat. We got a little treat there. And thank you, Michael. We love you, sweetheart.
But trying to
Come on
coordinate
up.
more than two or three people,
Yeah,
it gets
it's rough.
interesting.
It's rough. It's rough. I mean, I can always put one together, but it won't be everybody. I mean,
Yeah,
it
I think
gets
that's what I'm
busy
going to
around
have to do
Halloween.
is just do it. And then if more want to go later, we'll do a second one. I mean, we can do more than one.
We can do more than one. We got to do one before Halloween, though. Let's do it. So, you said it was your nana that was 96.
My
Would
mother
be
would be
your mama.
96.
Wow, God bless her. Well, because it's
And
her
my
birthday,
dad,
it's
his
close.
birthday was in September 22nd. He
Oh,
would have
how
been
close?
101 this year.
Wow. When's your mom's?
102,
You
102.
said close to Halloween. When
My
was it?
birthday's on Halloween.
I know yours is, but when was hers?
My mother, October the 14th.
Well, there you go. That's why. Chat, you can now have cake. So pass the cake around,
Pass the
everybody.
cake.
Cake, pass the cake, pass the bacon. If anybody new comes in, make sure they get cake and bacon and a welcome. And we're going to watch a couple videos. We're
I
going
was
to talk
told there'd
about a
be
couple
punch
ghost
and
stories.
pie.
I don't know. Just if somebody brings punch, we can have it.
South
But
Park
somebody else
reference.
has got to bring it.
A few people will get
Every
it, maybe.
and
And
that's because
God
that
bless
one
Aunt
lady.
Edna. She's in the ICU, and
Oh my
prayers
God.
and light up for her.
Prayers and light for you, sweetie. How you doing? I see you. That's not good at all.
And she's
Here,
here in the
baby.
chat. Sounds like she's getting a balloon angioplasty to clear that blockage. But
Oh well, God
we'll
bless
pray
her.
for you, Aunt Edna.
Clear that blockage. Just send that energy. Just give it a minute, guys. Everybody, just think of Aunt Edna and send all that good energy that way. Now claim it, Aunt Edna. That's all yours, baby.
Reach out there
Take
and
it.
grab it.
Take it. Get out there and grab it. Claim it. There you go. We love you, sweetie. Anybody else there that outside out of this in the chat or in your family that needs healing light, we send it their way too. We got to send that light out, guys. We can't just keep it on in us. We got to send it back out, and it boomerangs. It comes back, and it's like it's like gifting something. It gets more energy every time it's
Yep.
gifted. That kind of thing.
And if you
So
want to
very
know how
cool.
to stay blessed, bless others. It comes back to you.
That's it right there. That's the easy way. There you go. Cake is in the chat. So if you
Cake and
want it,
bacon.
plenty of it.
Bacon
Just
cake.
plenty of it. The other day, somebody in the chat, one of the new gatekeepers, I believe, brought weed. Said had plenty of it, was growing it, brought weed in. I said, everybody, you can have that too.
You can have mine. I don't
Whatever.
partake, but it was
Apple
a nice
cider,
gesture nonetheless.
apple cider. And
They
speaking
used
of
to say
treats,
back in the day, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. That was back in the 60s and 70s. But
well, you know what they used to say, Steve. Ass, gas, or
ass, gas, or
grass.
grass. Nobody
Nobody
rides for
rides
free.
for free. So, speaking of treats, one of the traditions we also have here, right before Cabin 22, we like to bring the treats, the snacks, the adult beverages, the virgin frozen cocktails, whatever you bring, the hot tea, and what was that Jamaican spice cake, Ted? If that's, whatever floats your boat, whatever your thing is, that's the best part of it because you're bringing your own snacks, right? So, because of Cabin 22 and because of the chat, I think it was last year or the year before, we started slinging recipes and ideas and treat ideas, not just for kids, but for adults. So we throw in some adult beverages. Hey, Chris Jarvis, welcome in, honey. Hey,
Chris,
are
how you
you
doing?
kidding me? Welcome in, welcome in. It's a long time to see, sweetheart. She brought popcorn and bacon and love. Look at this. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you, darling. And so, anyway, because of some things in the story and another play on words and the moonshine and everything else, we came up with some recipes, and that started a tradition about sharing recipes. So I grabbed a couple of pictures and I thought this was kind of cool. So if you need some treat ideas, hey Sarah, honey, how you doing? I think I missed you earlier. I apologize. Say, that doesn't mean a thing. It just means I'm getting old and I miss things. But I just love you just to pieces. So, and she's brought cake too. Great. So, if you have some ideas, if you have links you want to share in the YouTube videos, as long as it's not, you got to be careful. Um, in the comments after it's posted, please share your treat ideas. If it's whatever, if you have a decorating idea or something you think it's cute, like last year I think the big thing was these silly ball strings. It was like wooden beads and ghosts, and somebody brought up these tier tray things. Pinterest is on trend. Believe me, I saw all this at AC Moore. It was a gasser when Pinterest came out because everybody went, glue crazy and crafting, and the adult coloring books. Believe me, the rubber band crap, the whole, all of it. When adult coloring books came out, it got so big and crazy. These women, grown ass women, would come into AC Moore and make a beeline for you like you have the key to their car. You know what I mean? Like you found their purse. And they stop you and they get, and this one lady looks at me, Steve, and says, "Do you have adult coloring books for children?"
Hmm.
And I'm standing there with putting away paint or something, and I'm going, "Excuse me, can you run that by me one more time?" And she, I said, "Just, I don't care." And she, and she says, "Do you have adult coloring books for children?" I said, "Ma'am, we have children's coloring books." You know, I know many adults color in those. I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for
I've seen some adult coloring
this
books that were
just
very adult in
radio
nature,
vault?
so be careful what you ask for. Hey,
But tell
AJK.
me that's not like the craziest thing you ever heard. And then they come in and it's like, what glue? And I knew glues. Look, you need to glue for something. Let me ask the question in the chat. I'm going to fill you in because I had to test every glue in the damn place. But when Pinterest went crazy, people would come in with crazy crap like this. I saw it. I saw it come across the social medias. I saw it on all the, the Instagrams, the Twitters, all of it. It flooded it because here comes spring. The pools are opening, and everybody is making these wonderful lights to hang around their pool, Steve, off the fence and off their French hooks, on the wrought iron hooks and stuff.
Yeah.
Problem is, they're made in used wine bottles with a cord down in them, and they're filling them with kerosene and lamp oil.
That's basically a Molotov cocktail in
Molotov
my
cocktail.
neighborhood.
And they cover it in, and they're asking, "Do you have the wicks that go in the new wine bottle lanterns?" And I'm like, "Ma'am, it's a Molotov cocktail, please." But
Yeah, I remember
proceed
those.
with
It was
caution.
like a wooden ball with a hole in it and a piece of rope,
That was
and
it.
it just dangled down in there. But yeah,
That's it.
you have to be very
That's it.
careful with that.
And everybody just went out, just smiling with their purchases clutched tightly to their chest. And I'm thinking, I hope we get a few more volunteers at the fire department this year.
Hope your insurance is paid up.
Holy shit. I mean, and it's just they're not even thinking. And it's like they come in and they say, "Do you have the cotton string?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Are you string or yarn?" And I wait a minute. Are you making the new Easter egg thing on Pinterest? And how did you know? And I'm like, "It's my job." Crazy world. I mean, everybody's got crazy stories about where they look, but adult coloring books for children, that was
Yeah.
just, I've seen some beautiful, horror ones. And I mean, just anime, all kinds of, even the Mandelas and the shapes and the nature, all they're beautiful. But what do you mean by what was going on in her head? It's scary to peel that back, you know? It's just nuts. And she said it to me 3 times. So anyway, some people just get locked in. So
I've
anyway,
seen some
treats.
adult coloring books for adults that you definitely don't want your kids to
You
get
don't
hold
want
of.
your kids to color, and I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, treats, Halloween treats. So here's some cute ideas I picked up. I didn't drag all the recipes in and stuff like that because they're basically so simple. It's just the idea, the clever little ideas, because they're really simple to do. I don't get into anything like, high maintenance food preparation here. That's not my gig. Trust me. Pop Tarts is cooking. It's more than 3 steps. Prove me wrong with science. So here we go. Anyway, this is so cute. This is a 7-layer dip. Make it your own. It doesn't matter about the dip. It's cute because it's got a lot of red on top. But this is just phyllo dough and crackers that they got the little food ready markers and just went on to make little tombstones and cut the tree out of like phyllo dough and just or pie crust, something flaky, I'm sure. And you can make it as big or as small as you want. Cute idea. And quick and easy, and you can make it your own. You don't really have to follow a recipe, but if you wanted to, I'd do like the 7-layer dip, something like that. Pretty cool. The next one I really liked is still another dip, simple, easy, right? But with the sour cream, put it in a Ziploc bag, poke a hole, and just do a quick spider web, a plastic spider web ring in the middle, and you've got something really cute for the table with some chips and all. No double dipping. That's the scariest thing of all, right, Steve? This is cute. This is brie or whatever, if you want to warm it up and it needs to be toasty with, again, the phyllo dough strips wrapped around it with a couple of olive eyes. It's so simple to make it just really cute, right? I am hungry too. That's you
Yeah,
have to
this
go
is
to bed.
making me hungry.
And there's another version, and you can just see with a little differential
Yeah.
how different it looks. Like this one's got the red eye, the pimento eyeballs, and the and a little toastier. They were so neat. They were so precise. Make it a little more messy. This is a nice feel of dough, I think. I don't know. It looks tasty, and I'm not even a fan of brie. I like cheddar. How about you, Steve? What's your favorite cheese?
Um, Probably the extra sharp cheddar.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I
oh
like
yeah.
some of the soft cheese, some of the brie, and
I used to like the
the
port wine.
not if it's too runny. Yeah, those port wine cheese balls around the holidays. I love those.
Port wine cheese balls. Yep. That's that's almost punk rock. This is again fila or croissant. That croissant dough that you pop, you peel back and pop. No matter how much prepared you are, you always jump when the dough
Yeah,
pops
when
out of
that
the thing.
camp.
I jump every freaking time. It's like a balloon popping. But I throw a grenade, not move. But if you pop a balloon, I promise you, it's so weird. It's like the sharks in it, we all got something. But you
Little
could use that
cocktail
croissant
wieners,
dough.
and they
Yeah,
got toenails on them. I'm guessing that's
almonds, sliced almonds.
almond
I bet.
slivers. Yeah,
A little looks like a positive dip there.
maybe it's the Heinz blood ketchup that they have this time of year. Have you
Could
seen
very well
that?
be. No, I hadn't. But yeah, I'm guessing that's almond slivers. Just cocktail weenies. It's cute, especially if you get these. I thought were absolutely adorable. And I did it with the real cute one, for like kids, if your kids eat jalapeno peppers. But and look at the adult tray as well, though. I mean, just taking a few things like the salami and the prosciutto and wrapping it around some cheese and what is that, mango? Why would you take prosciutto and wrap it around mango? Is that a thing or papaya? Is that what that
I
is,
can't
papaya?
tell. That looks like mango chunks in the salsa there, the dip, but the one at the
Okay.
bottom, I don't know. Maybe it is.
See, that's a
Yeah,
little
that
overboard.
looks like mango slices.
That comes from the kitchens that drizzle things on the side of your plate and thinks it's a, you know what I'm saying with the drizzle with
Nouvelle cuisine.
yeah, yep, exactly. But basically what it is I focused here on the jalapeno. Now they're filled with a mixture of feta and cheddar cheese, and it's in a jalapeno pepper and different ways of wrapping it to make it look like a mummy, and of course those candy eyes. And these ones over here to the right have got olive eyes, and I don't know what those big old bulgy eyes look like, some kind of berry.
Or it could be like those cherry tomatoes, small ones. I don't know.
How small are those things?
Some of them are pretty
Those are
small.
pretty
I've got
little.
a
Okay.
pint of them in the kitchen, and there's some that big, and then there's
Really?
some little ones in there too.
Wow. Okay. See, either way, you can pick your own eyes. Yeah, it is. It's phyllo. It's the phyllo dough, Aunt Edna.
And in a
Or they're
pinch,
using
biscuit dough, like you're talking about, that'll
yeah,
work too.
or the croissant, something flaky. I think
Yeah,
because
the
I think the
pizza.
flaky makes it look a
Pillsbury
little bit
makes pizza crust in a tube like that too,
right.
that you have to pop
Yeah.
open.
But I don't understand the papaya though. Don't get your papaya, whatever this is.
Pretty sure that's
This
mango, but
it could be
I
mango.
like
I don't
mango,
know.
but I don't know about with whether they got their prosciutto or something that they've got
That's
there
a
wrapped
bridge too
around.
far for me right there. Just give me that salami and one of these jalapeno little mummies here, and I'll be on my way. Maybe head back over to that dip with the spider on it. Um, these were cute too for
Little
kids, and I put
ghost
them next to
pizzas.
the hot dog. Yeah, because this is something I thought could probably go in the oven at the same time if you had a little group of goblins staying over or after trick or treat or something like that. This would be cute. Where you do those little bagels and make them yourself. It's going to be so much cheaper. But they did the cheese in the shape of a ghost, and again, more than likely, I don't know if that's clove eyes. I think it could very well be. Why would you stick clove? Anyway, you could find something else to use for the eyes. I wouldn't stick cloves on my kids' thing, but that might be something else like anise or something. I'm not really sure. It almost looks like a seed, but sesame seeds or those, you know, um, anything little black dots. What are those? Poppy seeds. They're probably too small, but you use your imagination. This is cute with the cheese and the hot dogs together. Is cute for trick or treaters coming home. Even the adults, man, you know, grab anything off of a a thing. So there's a couple ideas there. Now for the cabin 22, before we get to our main feature here, we have a specialized recipe for them. And I believe this one is, yes, it is. Something near and dear to your hearts, gatekeepers. This one is bacon caramel popcorn. There you go. Bacon caramel popcorn. I can attest to the fact that it is extremely yummy.
It looks delicious.
So pick your poison for cabin 22. It will be 6 nights in a row. We're going to have guest co-hosts along the way. Steve's going to come a night. He gets to pick whichever one he wants to come to because he's a busy guy. And who wouldn't be in that? Look how it looks in that buffalo plaid. Of course, this is his busy season.
Look like I've been out chopping wood.
Yep. And carve your pumpkin, tell you a story. Calm I was going to say raise the dead, but I mean, that would start sound like somebody else.
Only a couple of times.
Raise the roof a couple times. And brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, the official coffee, unpaid sponsor. Or we're unpaid sponsors. No, they're a sponsor. It doesn't pay. No, that doesn't work. We'll have to work on that. Either way, make your own treats, bring your own treats, share your ideas if you're gonna whatever you're gonna bring,
Have a
and
watch party
come
or a
and have a
listening
good time.
party. Make some of those snacks, invite your neighbors over.
Right. And like I said too, these treat bags that I'm putting out are really good to throw up on a laptop. They're between 2.5, 3 hours. If you're having an office party or a party at the house and you just have this little nook you don't know what to do with, put a couple of Halloween treats and a couple of, bowl of bacon caramel popcorn, or make popcorn balls with bacon caramel popcorn for adults, and maybe some of those jalapeno, like the more adult stuff. And put that on a laptop and just let them sit there and catch a ghost story or catch a UFO abduction or one of these other little video vignettes that we've got going on in those treat things, because they're great for office parties. There's nothing in them the kids really can't see if you got the older kids running around, and most of them you could get past the small kids. I mean, gosh, it's not Freddy pulling your pulling you inside out, you know what I mean? It's just people talking about their ghost experiences or their abductions. That could be scary for some kids. So, you look into it, but there's a bunch of them to choose from. I think that there must be, at this point in time on my channel, I probably have 10 of those. So you got 30 hours of ghost stories, UFOs, fun stuff like Peter Underwood, or it might be a story that Steve told or whatever, and it's all mixed together. So there you go. So you can pretty much just park it here for Halloween, right, Steve? Your channel.
Absolutely.
And and the same with yours in your 31 days of Halloween. That's on 13 past midnight, though, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And then Halloween week over on Among the Missing, we're going to have disappearances that happen on Halloween. That's going to be a good one. On or around Halloween.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Wow, that is spooky. I mean, I think we even touch on it in Cabin 22. I was talking, I used the character of uh, Sheriff Cook to sit there, and he's kind of reminiscent. He's doing all his radio calls in. He's trying to sort everything because something happens right before he sits in this in his cruiser and has to sort things and redirect groups. And I need this one for this one and this one for that one. And he's delegating all this duty. And he's reminiscing that this is Hell Night, and he's got to make sure his deputies are all dispersed correctly in trouble spots and keeping an eye out. Now he's got another problem on his hands that he wasn't expecting. And the best part of that, though, is when he's reminiscing back on when he was a kid and what Mischief Night was like, you know. And by the time in his, yeah, and in his lifetime, it went from Mischief Night, people out having fun and doing some mischief and soaping windows,
So
to Hell
Devil's
Night.
Night. Yeah.
Devil's Night, that's another one for it, you know.
Yeah.
And so it I think Halloween, all holidays, Steve, kind of take you back to what it was like when you were a kid, and you can't help but be nostalgic around times like that. I think
Yeah.
that's what they're for, almost in some way, you know, not just about the day and whatever you're celebrating, but also how you used to celebrate. And maybe those that aren't celebrating, you know, around to celebrate anymore, maybe a distance away or not with us anymore. But I can tell you on this program, we'll tell you, yeah, they are. They're still around. You know, they still
Yep.
hear you when you
They're
talk to
still
them.
here.
So make sure you reach out. So I think that's it for the house cleaning stuff, other than the Halloween, the traditional Halloween. Cabin 22 will start on the 22nd. It's going to be the second half of that Sunday show. And I believe that Sunday is going to be Ron Murphy and Dogman. How apropos. And that will kick off Cabin 22. You haven't picked a night yet, have you, Steve?
No, not yet. Just let me know what's available and I'll figure
Sure
one out.
will. I sure will. So before we get to playing of the next thing, I did have a couple, I think. Let me make sure I didn't mess up here. Hold on one second. I know we showed that one. Though, this was another one. So just to amp up a little bit before we go on, you can do those same jalapeno peppers and wrap them in the fila dough, but top it with bacon. I wanted to make sure you knew you could do that, just in case you hadn't thought of it. Can you imagine how tasty the feta cheese and cheddar with the fila dough just slightly toasted? And then you get the bacon. And if you use like a maple, you know, like a higher end bacon, like the thick cut, the maple, the sugar, oh, brown sugar maple bacon. Oh gosh. Now
Uh,
come on, Steve. Look. And then you hit those and you save those sugar eyes for last. That's pretty intense right there. This was cute too. This is now all my cooks would have to tell you, it's actually s'mores in a bowl, and you serve it with the graham crackers, so it's like a dip. And this is actually marshmallows that they placed, and they did like I don't know how they did it. They rolled the marshmallows out and cut them. I don't know what, but this is chocolate and marshmallow whip with toasted marshmallows on top and chocolate chip eyes, and it's s'mores in a bowl served with graham crackers. Just too cute. Anything with the ghost. I love this. It's my absolute favorite. And if you were going to have a spread, it would definitely be great to have a couple of these. I love this idea. I think it's fantastic. I don't like the dip. It probably has guacamole in it. I'm more scared of the dip than I am the whole overall look of this. I think this is adorable. And you can make it your own. You can make it your own. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. I think this is adorable. And this is almost a piece of resistance here, because this is brown sugar, maple, thick cut bacon, cooked to a crisp, cut into a bacon strip into 4 pieces, and you dip it in dark chocolate and finish it off with tiny little candy confection uh orange sprinkles. Look at that, Steve.
Oh, that looks good.
I know. It's a beauty.
This all looks good.
This is so good. This is the peanut butter double dipped chocolate balls with bacon crumbles.
Amazing.
And for the kitties, we cannot leave them out. Bacon bats. Yes, I said it. Bacon bats. Do not forget, go buy your Michaels or wherever you go for your products and get the googly eyes, the sugared googly eyes, and
Yeah,
have at
make
it
sure you
and
get the
make a couple
sugar
of
ones
these.
and not the plastic ones.
And there's Ernest Hemingway.
Nice
Probably
segue.
in one of his better days, I think, Steve. And we're going to
Definitely.
talk about him a little bit too. What do you know about him now? I don't know
I've read
much.
all of his stuff. I'm sort of a fan, but I've been to his house there in Key West when I lived in Central Florida. Made the trip down to Key West, and it's just a weird, weird place anyway.
Yeah.
But he lived in a Spanish style villa down there. That was, remember when it was built? The guy that built it was a salvager, so I think he probably salvaged a lot of stuff that went into that
It's
house,
a
and that's
pretty
how
little house. They're going
what's
to
there.
show it in the
All
video.
those storm shutters on it. It's just a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's a national historic spot
It's
now.
been standing. It's been quite a while. I forget when they
But
said it was
they've
built,
got
but
over 50 of those polydactyl six-toed cats that
mhm.
roam the properties.
Mm.
But they've seen Hemingway's ghost, his second wife Pauline's ghost, and
Pauline.
then there's a ghost of one of the cats. There's a six-toed cat that
It's
disappears.
fantastic. Fantastic. I think I got a note on the cat, but I think it's just basically what you said. And there's is Pauline the one that they see leaning over the fence smoking and they
Yep.
find the
And they
butts?
find cigarette butts of cigarettes that they don't make anymore that were her favorite brand. Go figure on that one.
This is very similar to what we were talking about last Monday. We were talking about, was it last Monday we were talking about them apporting, or was that you and I talking? Or we,
I don't
I
remember.
can't remember. I've done
I've
so many
slept a little
shows the
bit
past
since then.
couple of weeks. But we're basically what we were talking about was on Devil's Den in Gettysburg, of course, they're doing a reenactment, and the guy turns to it says something about not having enough ammo in his bag. They gave them like blanks, but they had set them like the old, you know, gun, the whole. I forget what they called them. I'm locking up because I can't remember. They didn't call them cartridges. They called them something else. The paper wrapped that they jammed down in the muzzle of the.
Um, is Glenn Dennison here? I bet he'd know what it's
I bet
called.
he'd know. He'd say it. But anyhow,
Wadding?
I
Was it wadding?
it could be, but
Something
you know
like
the
that.
guys had a nickname, a slang for it, and that's what I'm searching for. But anyway, he says it because they're being, they're staying in character, the reenactment, even though they're on a break or whatever they were doing. Maybe it was nightfall, who knows? And the guy says, "Here, you can have a couple of mine." He turns around, the guy holds them out in his hand and gives it to him. And he said, "Oh, hey, man, thank you so much." And he turns and puts them in his bag and turns around to say something to him. And the guy's gone, and there was no place he could have gone. Well, he assumes he's losing his mind. He thinks he sees, that it must have been I seen a ghost. But he handed me these cartridges, and they took them to one of the downtown museums because there's a ton of them, and they verified its age, and
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
the real
period
deal.
specific from that era. And the people that do the
Apported through time.
recreations and stuff, they don't even have those. I mean, these are
Yep.
old.
Apported through time, Steve. That blows my mind. And the same, I think it was in Gettysburg. It may have been Antietam, but a very similar thing happened with tobacco. And they went and they had it looked at, and it was.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
heard.
the
I think
quote
they
was it
carbon
was good
dated it or
Virginia
something,
tobacco,
and the tobacco was over 100 years old or whatever.
some
But
kind of thing
fresh,
like
yet it
that.
was fresh.
Yeah, weird, just weird stuff like that. We got a ton of them, especially in Civil War things, and I think it does happen around a lot of the reenactments and things. I mean, you look at all the different little stories you see pop up with like the lady giving the ride back to the reenactors to their cars where they had to park their cars. so they could go film during the day. And she was one of the volunteers that had a pickup. Sure, jump in the back and I'll take you all to your cars. And then she goes on home. Well, she stops at a red light and happens to look in her rear view, and there's still three guys sitting in the back of her pickup. So she pulls over and like, oh my gosh, did you guys not get out? Where am I supposed to take you? She's like freaking out a little bit, like, what did I do? That I took off too soon or missed a stop or something. And she gets out to go talk to him, and by the time she pulls over, looks in the back, sees him sitting there, opens the door and they're gone. Wow. That's why this subject will never get tiresome. You know what I'm saying?
Never gets old.
All right. I think I hit all the recipes. I think that I've got some extra Hemingway. So let's see what they got to tell us. Now, this is an old from 80 something. And Ron wants to know what you're vaping on. What flavor you got? Fruity Pebbles tonight? What do you got?
No, this is what is this one? Very berry. They were out of the Frankenberry, but I got very berry ice. It's got a little menthol finish on it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Where's Radio Vault going? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Are you okay? You need a drink? Radio Vault, what's going on?
And I've got another one around here somewhere.
He likes the food, apparently.
Now, I had a different
What's
red
happening?
one last week. This one is mango aloe ice.
I like that color. Too. Is that a red or is that like a hot watermelon?
It's red, but like in a brushed aluminum. This is a high-end disposable. It's got a little meter on there.
I'm scared of you.
When you hit off of it, tells you how much of a charge and how much vape juice it's got left in it.
Well.
If you're careful and like to tinker, they are refillable. They're not necessarily disposable. Take that from your Uncle Steve.
There you go. Another good tip from Uncle Steve. There you go. See, I make sure you're fed with these wonderful foods over here, and who could resist bacon bats, Steve? Look at them.
Yeah,
how adorable are those double dip brown sugar bacon? Very tasty. Just saying. I know y'all writing this stuff down. I know.
I like to cook. I come by it honestly. My mom had 9 brothers. 7 of them were restaurateurs. Some of them more than one restaurant. I've been on a kick lately where I've been seeing how many things I can use brown sugar for. I made some
put so many baked
chicken
beans
today. I brushed the chicken breast after I pounded it out as thin as I wanted it. Brushed it with some olive oil, and then put a mixture of brown sugar, minced garlic, black pepper, paprika, the smoked paprika, and a little bit of adobo seasoning on there.
I love
Rolled
adobo.
it around in that, grilled it. That brown sugar caramelizes in the oven, 425 degrees, if anybody's writing this down. It caramelizes. It seals the juices and the flavor in that chicken. You can grill it in the oven, and it doesn't get dry or anything. And it's got just a perfect little crispy edge around it.
I'm surprised you didn't put mayonnaise with that. A lot of those Hello Fresh things that you would do similar to what Steve is saying, but there would be like a mayo in there, and you think, ugh. But you know what? It keeps everything,
No, I diced it up then and made salads and put in a salad like
so much
like
work.
a Caesar salad, but without the Caesar.
so much. I'm just like, everything. I've got a cast iron skillet. You put it in the cast iron skillet. Throw some olive oil in that. Doesn't matter what you're cooking. Put some olive oil in that. Turn it up on high. Throw whatever you're cooking in there. Take the cover, put it on, walk away. And when the smoke alarm goes off, you're ready.
It's done. Yeah. And especially olive oil, on those, they have a low smoke point too. I've smoked the whole house up before.
Follow me for some more recipes.
Creations, but they're all good. Nicole loves my cooking.
There you go. She got lucky. There you go. We had to buy. Give me a hot cup of tea and a couple crackers and some cheese or something. And don't forget to pass the cake and the bacon around because we're celebrating Steve's mom's birthday. So it's totally official. You can have cake. If anybody comes in, didn't get cake, let the mods know, they'll get you some. All right, here we go. Famous ghostly homes. Let's see what we got. That's good and creepy.
They are magnificent works of art, rich and opulent homes that dazzle the senses with their beauty, elegance, and grandeur. Who would suspect that within these majestic walls lurk the ghosts of a bygone era?
We would.
You're never alone when you set foot inside of America's ghostly homes.
Doesn't get much better than that, Steve.
They stand bold and proud across the American landscape, crowning achievements of the men and women who struck it rich in the land of opportunity. Each home is diverse and distinctive in architecture and design. Each boasts exquisite art and
Let them eat
from
cake,
around
Ted.
the world and sumptuous gardens. And each is apparently haunted by the restless spirits who refuse to leave. Lost souls who continue to claim the homes as their own. 100 years ago, this stately mansion in Denver, Colorado, belonged to one of the most colorful women of her day, the unsinkable Molly Brown.
I absolutely love
Some
her.
say she continues to visit her favorite home,
She was
even
pistol.
after death.
She was a passenger on
I think
the
a
Titanic,
ghost is
right?
an energy,
That's where the
a
unsinkable
soul that
part
hasn't
comes from.
left
Absolutely.
where it's supposed to go for some reason or not. A lot of people have died in this house, as it was a boarding house for many, many years. So I feel not only Molly's family, but other people are still here.
In 1894, Molly Brown and her husband J.J. moved to Denver from the boom town of Leadville, Colorado, where they had amassed a fortune investing in silver mines. The Browns purchased this elegant Queen Anne mansion for $30,000.
I understand,
And
Sarah.
Molly eagerly anticipated her new life as a big city socialite.
I like that house.
At that time, this neighborhood, which was called The Hill, which is now called Capitol Hill, was where all the elite people were moving to after making their fortunes in silver and then gold. This neighborhood started to become one of the most prosperous neighborhoods in the city.
Molly's new home was perfect for entertaining and hosting large social events. Her parties were well attended, and Molly's
too,
name
Lindsay. How you
regularly
doing?
appeared in the society pages of Denver's newspapers. But she was unable to gain acceptance into the upper strata of the city's wealthy class.
She's essentially a river rat from Hannibal, Missouri. And she made up all sorts of stories over the years, such as claiming that as a river rat at Hannibal, she hung around with Mark Twain. But generally, by the 1890s, Denver high society was already quite stratified, especially among daughters of American revolutions, women whose husbands were from back east. They were from back east, already had established fortunes, and they had fairly little use for a river rat like Molly Brown. So she was generally scorned on this, mocked by Denver high society.
Is that the
There-
funny honey, Steve, or am I picking up some vibes off of this dude?
That guy's got an interesting delivery. He should be doing cartoon voices, I think.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make
I
sure
was
it
just-
was.
I was
I
trying
was
not to
getting
laugh
down
at
to
him,
the
but-
bottom, and I thought I had a bunch that collected back there that was just hitting me all at once or something. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, well, we're
Molly
good.
was frustrated by the snub from Denver's elite, but she didn't let it show. She and JJ often attended the opera in their private box. In between parties, the Browns traveled to exotic destinations around the world, and Molly began to decorate her home with art and furnishings that she had acquired on these trips.
The statuary out front of the house is original to Molly Brown. She brought them over from one of her many trips to Egypt.
A visit to the Molly Brown house is a feast for the eyes, and a cautionary walk among the spirits. The tour begins in the entry hall.
Look at that staircase. Wow.
Most of the wood on
I
the
love
downstairs
staircases.
is
Probably
oak.
all hand
The Victorian
carved,
era
too.
was considered the golden age of oak. So most of the woodwork that's in the entry hall is oak. The formal parlor was strictly used for entertaining. You only gathered in the formal parlor when you had guests. This room got a lot of use when Molly lived here. Despite everything that you have heard, she had many, many friends, and her parties were very well attended.
The elegant dining room features an unusual hand-painted web design on the ceiling. The silver table set is the same one used by the Browns and their guests. Molly and JJ had 2 children, a son and a daughter. But as the children grew older, the once loving couple began to grow apart. Molly and JJ even slept in separate bedrooms.
Families of wealth could afford separate bedrooms, so they had separate bedrooms. Molly covered 3 of the bedroom walls, including her own, with a silk brocade wall covering. Not only did it muffle the sound in the room, but it also delights the eye with subtle pattern changes when light reflects off the brocaded surface.
How interesting.
In her day, the vibrant spirit of Molly Brown was legendary. When we return, some say that spirit has come back from beyond the grave.
Has it got
Molly
bacon
Brown
in it, Ron?
enjoyed an opulent lifestyle in her Denver home, but her heart was on the road. In the spring of 1912, Molly was again
Feel
far
better.
from home when a chain of events began that would change her life forever.
She was traveling in Egypt when she had received word that one of her grandsons was ill, and the only passage back to the United States was on the Titanic, so she booked herself a first-class one-way passage.
On board ship, Molly enjoyed hobnobbing with some of the wealthiest and most powerful people on Earth. Then came the night of April 14th, 1912. Steaming full speed ahead through the North Atlantic, the Titanic slammed into an iceberg and began to sink. Molly
mess.
was lowered in lifeboat number 6, where her buoyant spirit helped fellow survivors live through the frigid night.
While in the lifeboat, women were very hysterical. She calmed the women and got them to row away from the Titanic and got them to sing so that they would calm down and be productive in saving themselves.
After the
She really did too. I wanted to stop it there for a second and say there is a wonderful movie out, and it's a musical, and I believe it's Debbie Reynolds plays the unsinkable Molly Brown,
Yep.
isn't it?
I think it's Debbie. Yep.
And they pretty much tell the whole thing, and the hard part about how they were new money and old money didn't accept them in society. So you have that whole Vanderbilt kind of thing and that whole Industrial Revolution and all the, that new money fighting against the old. It was very similar for Molly Brown. I forget I think they hit oil on their land. I think that was it. It was either that or gold, one of the two. I think it was oil. And they came into a lot of money, and she just kept trying to do the parties where certain people wouldn't show up. And because those people wouldn't show up, a whole other group of people wouldn't show up, that whole back and forth thing. And she was never quite accepted, but she was absolutely, if you talk to anybody that survived on the lifeboat she was on, she put her own clothes on these people, put wraps around them, told everybody to huddle close together, got them singing and and clapping and everything else to keep their body warmth going and keep them from going into shock. And everybody just basically at that point in time, they loved good old unsinkable Molly Brown. And then they forgot it afterwards just as quick, because that's the way society was back then. So there you go. Steve, you got anything on that?
No, I think you've covered it.
Ready to roll. Here we go.
Disaster,
Roll that
Molly
beautiful
returned to
band.
Denver,
Here we go.
now more famous than ever. In 1914, she ran for the U.S. Senate, but was defeated. By 1920, Molly and JJ were separated. With no husband and her children grown, Molly spent less and less time in Denver. She now preferred living on the East Coast, and it was in a New York hotel that Molly Brown died in 1932 at the age of 64. After her death, Molly's beloved Denver mansion served a variety of uses, including a home for wayward girls. By 1971, the Molly Brown house was saved from demolition by a group of Denver citizens who wanted to preserve the home and the memory of Molly Brown. Today, the home is a museum and reportedly preserves much more than Molly's memory. Dozens of eyewitnesses claim to have seen the ghosts of Molly, JJ, and even one of their servants.
One of our volunteers was looking in the hall mirror, and she noticed a man standing on the stairs behind her. She said he looked like a butler. When she turned around, there was nobody there.
Another haunting offers startling evidence that Molly is hosting dinner parties for the dead.
Our curator one morning was opening the house. We try and keep the chairs pushed into the dinner table. When she came in, she noticed that all the chairs had been pushed away from the table, indicating that a dinner party had just ended and the guests had just left.
A beautifully dressed woman in Victorian clothing has been seen in the house. Is it the ghost of Molly Brown waiting in eternity for her guests to arrive?
We do Victorian dining experiences here at the Molly Brown house, and one of our volunteers was done preparing a dinner. Before the guests had arrived to the table, he noticed a Victorian woman sitting at the head of the dining room table, and he was the only person in the room at the time.
Employees say they have to work overtime to keep up with the mischievous spirits who are continually opening windows, turning on lights, and shifting pictures on the wall. The spirit of Molly's husband, J.J. Brown, has also made its presence known in a number of unusual ways.
Despite a no smoking prohibition in the house, there's smelling tobacco smoke in there, especially pipe, cigar smoke. And the story goes is that J.J. Brown never liked Molly's parties and social affairs. And rather than patronizing with the guests in the living room or out in the garden, he would rather go down to the furnace or up to the attic and smoke his cigars at that time. And that's where the tobacco smoke is from.
Molly's bedroom seems to be a...
This is priceless.
Succotash.
I can't. Wow. Bless his heart.
God bless him.
focal point of ghostly activity. A disquieting aura pervades the room, and some visitors are hesitant to enter.
People would go into Molly's bedroom and they would suddenly feel this icy cold presence in there, as if there was some spirit or something draining life and vitality from them. Others claim that Molly's very sad, depressed presence is in the house.
Perhaps the spirit of Molly Brown is still longing for the people and places she enjoyed most in life. If so, she is not alone. Next, we'll travel to South Florida, where the ghost of novelist Ernest Hemingway is said to haunt his beautiful seaside home.
Take me to Florida. Okay. So
I think I'll start narrating all my videos like that.
You should do it, Steve.
I'll turn in an audio book and see what my publisher thinks about that.
I can't quite play. I don't even know what
He's got enthusiasm, but it sounds like a cartoon. I can't remember the character. There's a little bit
it's
of
not Elmer
in
Fudd.
there.
It's a little Putty Tat. It's a little
And,
Elmer Fuddy. It's a
Maybe
little Elmer
Huckleberry
Fuddy.
Hound or Quick Draw McGraw. I don't know. He could make a fortune if he did cartoon voices.
He may have. I mean, he might have done it. So wait a minute. This is Jesse Shepard. We don't want him. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let me sort this real quick. Okay, here we go. So there she is in all her glory. I want the hat. Listen, you show up at the ShopRite, at the Kroger, the Piggly Wiggly wearing that thing. Don't think you're going to have to stand in line. It'll part like the Red Seas for you. I'm telling you. You just march right up, slap you a couple oranges down there and your avocados or whatever you got, and just get checked right on out. That's right, Ted. Welcome aboard the Hot Mess Express. So, I mean, the hat, Steve. That ought to tell you something. But isn't that a cool looking house? I think it's the porch and the stone. I'm a sucker for stone. I'm not real big on the Egyptian whatnot and the camaraderie they got going on here on the porch and stuff. But I love that house. It's different. What do you think? It's different.
Yeah, very different. Sorry, I didn't know if I had my mic muted or not. I was looking at something else here.
You did, but you don't now, so you're good. But there she is in all her glory, and I think she would show up to move stuff around. But I don't think that this is just a think because I have no you know, evidence for this, but I don't think she's stuck. It's like everybody thinks that, well, somebody's showing up at a place like Maryland. God, Maryland's, everywhere. She's at that hotel. She's at the mausoleum. She's at the different resorts in Nevada, different places in Las
She gets
Vegas.
around.
But she's not, even though she was very sad in life, I don't think she had any problem crossing. I've never heard anybody saying that she was stuck, and I don't think she is either. So I just wanted to say, now he may very well be. I have no say on that, but she had kind of a real she was an old soul. And I mean that in the way that we've come to know it. We're all old souls, but I mean that in the way of, she was a fast tracker. She was true grit. She went after it. She was going to get it. She went around the mountain, through it, whatever. Until I learned something, because I'll tell you what, you dig on anybody deep enough, you're going to find something. I don't want to know any more about her because I've always liked her. And anything she ever did, she did it with integrity and reverence. And I think a little bit extra because she felt like she had to be accepted, and she still wasn't accepted. And she eventually got to that point where she said, well, just go on with you then, and had her own fun and did her own thing and made her own name. And I just think that's pretty cool. So I don't think that type of personality would be stuck anywhere, Steve. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you
She's
think?
unsinkable and unstoppable, I think, and
I love it. Yeah.
unstuckable. I don't think she gets
Unstuckable.
stuck anywhere.
The
It's not even a
unstuckable
word.
Molly
Yeah.
Brown. Let's just claim that here. The unstuckable Molly Brown. And there's the placard that they have up, and I thought it was interesting because it actually shows her as this wonderful portrait of this, just an elegant lady of the time. But in the background, it's kind of got that world traveler theme going on. And she just went and did it. She just went and did it. And it did, being, you can knock a ship out from under, and that didn't stop her. She kept going and brought back all that stuff. And that's what all those different statues and things on that porch that kind of look very eclectic and kind of busy for me. She was making a statement because each one of those things symbolized a place she had been. So Egypt and Paris and all of these different things. She was sticking it to them and put it right out front, and like, um, this is what I've done. Where'd you have for lunch? One of those
Yeah,
kind of deals.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I really like that a lot. And if you're
Nowadays they call
interested,
that flexing. She was
yeah,
flexing.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's kind of cool. And if you're interested, these are the hours that they're open there at the museum. You can go in there and learn more about the unstuckable uh, Molly Brown. That was pretty cool. Yep. So I thought that was interesting. And the next one I think is, we're going to Florida, aren't we, Steve?
Yep, Key
And it's
West.
this guy right here. And we brought this up earlier. The thing that interests me the most is the decanter in the background and the glass he's drinking it in. And I'm thinking, you know what I mean? I don't know why that's unexpected, but him and his lifestyle, and his thing
Yeah,
was
he was a rugged guy, man's man. He had been a soldier and
mm,
things, and he's drinking out of a
mm,
cut glass decanter there.
I wonder what it is. It was Scotch, wasn't it? He was a Scotch man, wasn't he?
Usually, he was like this Scott.
Now is that Paul? Is that Pauline?
I
Paul
believe that's Pauline.
Pauline, and you see in the background here in the palm trees and everything else. Key West. I can't believe this thing is still standing
He
with
had
all
the
the
first
hurricanes.
swimming pool in Key West. The first swimming pool ever installed in Key West was done by Hemingway at the villa there.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Oh, I pulled out some fun things. I think I could tell this one. It won't give away the story, but in Florida's Key West, there's so much Hemingway stuff that goes on. This is just one thing. There's an annual Ernest Hemingway lookalike contest every July in the Florida Keys in honor of Pop. This is this kid writing about it. Papa's birthday. Bearded men and some women donning false white beards. Uh, let's hope they're false.
Yeah,
Gather to take
Papa
part.
was his nickname. Everybody
Oh,
called him
was it?
Papa. Papa
Oh, okay.
Hemingway. Yeah,
I didn't know
or
that.
just
See, there you
Papa.
go.
Yeah.
You heard it here, guys. And I didn't know that. I don't know that much about the guy. I just know he was a writer, and I'd heard he had, the drinking problems, the womanize and thing. But who wasn't back then? The women too. So everybody did their thing. Um, let's see. They gather to take part in the Hemingway lookalike contest. It is run by the Hemingway Lookalike Society and has been held at Sloppy Joe's Bar in Key West since 1981. Hemingway's own brother, Leicester, was the judge for the inaugural competition.
Lester.
Is it? Is that
Yeah.
just a weird way of spelling it? That's wild. All right, so
There's
we'll
a
go back to
town
that.
here in New England spelled that way, and it's pronounced Lester. So
And
I'm
that's how
hoping
you
that's the
knew?
same thing. Yeah.
You cheated. That's prior knowledge. That's good. All right, here we go. Hey, we no deadheads up in here. Isn't that pretty?
Once one of the wealthiest cities in the nation, Key West, Florida boasts some of America's most beautiful and decorative mansions. Famed novelist Ernest Hemingway decided to make the tropical island his permanent home
He looked like
after
trouble.
falling in love with the city's magnificent dwellings.
They were built by ship captains originally. Of course, when the pirates came here, they were part of the history. This
See, I
house
like
itself,
this guy.
by the way, was built in 1849 by a very famous shipbuilder from Georgia. His name was Asa Tiff.
Constructed from coral dug up on the property, the Hemingway home is as
What?
sturdy as it is elegant.
Pretty tough.
The actual style of the
All
house
those
is
hurricanes and
called
stuff
early
through there,
colonial
never
Spanish.
any damage other
But
than
as you can
just
see, it is the
mild
same
exterior
architecture as
damage.
New Orleans.
Wow.
The
Solid
reason
as a rock.
it's so different is because these walls are 18-inch thick coral rock blocks that were quarried out of the ground. Hemingway bought it in 1931. It was 80 years old when he bought it.
Wow.
Hemingway had found his personal paradise in Key West, writing in the morning, fishing in the afternoon, and enjoying the company of good friends in the evening. Hemingway also found time to relax on the spacious veranda of the mansion.
It still wasn't enough,
Early
Steve.
colonial Spanish-style
Isn't that
houses
crazy?
Yeah, look at
have
that.
some sort of porch or veranda. It's part of the lifestyle of living in the tropics.
Ernest Hemingway lived in the mansion with his second wife, Pauline, and enjoyed some of the happiest and most productive years of his life. It was here he wrote the classic novels To Have and Have Not and For Whom the Bell Tolls, as well as many other short stories and plays.
His studio is in the carriage house, which is the building behind this one, which was a hayloft that he actually turned into a studio. That's the reason he bought this house, by the way. He knew what he was going to do.
A favorite feature of the home was a luxurious swimming pool built just below Hemingway's studio.
The pool, it's interesting because it was the first pool built on the island. Pauline had it made for him as a surprise gift. He was away. He was in Spain as a war correspondent. He was covering the Spanish Civil War. For Whom the Bell Tolls was that book. But when he got back, he was surprised. He loved it until he found out how much it cost. The house cost $8,000. Well, Pauline spent $20,000 on the pool. And this is 1938. A lot of money.
Chewy.
Another lasting legacy of Hemingway's time in
There
the
it
house
is, Steve.
are the
There's the
scores
cats.
of lazy
My favorite part.
felines that seem oblivious to the many tourists who visit the home.
Go
He had
ahead,
over
baby.
60 cats when he lived here. The famous Hemingway cats. We have 56 descendants of his cats today. 50% of them have extra toes. Instead of 5 and 4, they have 6 and 7 on the front paws, and some have 1 extra on the back. The terminology is polydactyl. His first polydactyl cat was given to him by a captain off a boat from Boston that he met here at Key West. And, of course, he bred them here, and that's why they're called Hemingway cats today.
The six-toed cats aren't the only holdouts from the past.
Look at that.
Nearly
You know, I
40
can
years
smack the
after
hell out of
Ernest
you
Hemingway
with
took
this,
his own life, his
Oh, bless
spirit apparently wishes to stay on in his tropical paradise. Hemingway's ghost and several other unidentified spirits have been seen and felt in the house.
Now that one I believe is there.
I've had a lot of the
Not
tourists
stuck,
that come to
but
me
by choice.
during a tour that have felt him in the studio, and they're serious. They come down and they're shivery and got cold chills, and they've felt his spirit.
After Hemingway's death in 1961, reports started coming in about the Hemingway house and about his ghost. First, there was the typing, the clacking away the typewriter keys, which is, by the way, common with ghosts. Ghosts who were into that type of thing, oftentimes they come back, and that can be the residual energy, like I said.
Besides the weird feelings and sounds, the ghost of Hemingway has been witnessed on numerous occasions. It is no wonder that the place he loved so much in life would be a favored stop in the spirit world.
Lots of times with ghost houses, people see lights flickering or they get the cold chills. With the Hemingway house, lots of times it's a full-fledged apparition. People will see the image of Hemingway. Some tourists who were in town were walking by the house at night. They looked up and they saw a man who looked just like Hemingway standing up on the balcony. They waved to him. He waved right back, and then he vanished in the thin air. So it seems that Hemingway has come back to the place that he loved most.
And see,
When we return, 3,000 miles away in San Diego, California, another Spanish home is said to be swarming with the spirits of its rich and colorful past.
Spooky.
okay, let me stop it there. Yeah, oh yeah. So that's so interesting. Of course, my favorite part, the cats, the polydactyls, and the fact that he raised them. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that much as much about Hemingway as I know about like Dickens or Mark Twain or Stephen King for that matter. Sometimes you know too much. Take it back, go back, erase that, Larry. But anyway, a lot of well, certain ones I've been interested in life. I've tried to learn about, and then I learned to stop looking. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? But Ernest Hemingway was always interesting to me in the fact that you always think about this house and the fishing during the day and the typewriter, typing at night on the old typewriter, the scotch, the ever present, the cigar, the man's man kind of thing. The fact that he was a correspondent during, wartime and had that persona going on. Other than that, I read a little bit of For Whom the Bell Tolls, The Man in the Sea, that kind of thing, but never dug deep. Had you ever gotten into any of his writings or
Oh
one
yeah,
stuck out to you?
I had a big anthology of I think all of his
Did you?
writings, and read that as a favorite.
Yeah. And what out of all his stories that you've read, it was did you like in
I like The Old Man in the Sea. It's just
Yeah.
it's so poignant and a lot of Hemingway. He was a heavy drinker for one
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
but it was the existential horrors of war
Mm-hmm.
colored a lot of his stuff, and he was a war correspondent, so he saw a lot of that firsthand,
It
and
goes
that
with
really
the
colored
yeah.
his work.
It goes
And
with the
even though he
territory.
died at his ranch in Idaho, right after he died, that the thing, an incident similar to that one happened. People saw him up there, and they thought, "Oh, he's back in town," and they waved at him, and he waved back, not knowing that he'd passed away
Right,
just
right, and that's a
recently.
couple. I got a little clip of that of what Steve's describing. But that's the thing. That's why, and he also said that he would. This is where I'm going to speak for eternity. And like you said too. Now he died at a ranch where
Idaho, he had a ranch
Idaho.
up there and
Okay,
took his life there.
right, back and forth. He probably did a lot of back and forth, but
And he stopped living in that house when he and Pauline he took up with another woman and he moved to Cuba, and he never
he
lived
did.
in that house again after that. But he did visit there.
There you
But that
go.
was, I think, where he was happiest. I think they got that part right, and that's
Yeah.
so it's not where he passed, but that was where he was happy. So
Right, right. And I'm only asking these questions because again, trying to find the patterns of a ghost. Now, we know that we got to be careful on the inner tubes about what word we use, but he unlifed himself.
he opted
And
out
yeah,
in a very
and
violent manner.
yes, with his favorite pew pew. So and it was like this, this again, almost like a PTSD, shell shocky kind of trauma of dredging that up. If you read For Whom the Bell Tolls,
Whom the Bell Tolls, that's another one that just
it explains everything you need to know. Because it comes from that place, and I grew up reading stuff like that. I mean, I was, like I've said on this program before, I think I was not only just reaching out for all the weird stuff like the Ripley's Believe It or Not and the mysteries and even true crime, because I was looking at gangsters and Capones and things at like 8 and 9 years old here. Like there's something wrong
yeah.
with me, right? and and the ghost stories and the Bigfoots and all that other stuff. But I was also researching war, especially the war my dad was in. My sister was in Nam, and my as a photographer, Saigon, and my dad was in North Africa and and Italy, and for the most part. So I was always trying to sort, what makes people tick. So I was, as even as a little kid, and that's something you can study your whole life and never really get a grip on it. I mean, I know there's psychologists that think they have it all, down to they've crossed their T's and dotted their I's and stuff, but you can never really pinpoint the individual as a whole. You know what I mean? You can't blanket that. It's like what's good for one might not be for the other or the same, because individuals just like ghosts. So if you're thinking about, okay, he passed here, this is where he took his life. Okay, so when somebody says that to me, I think, are they stuck in that? That's a mindset to go out on. Think about it, that vibration, that thought process going through their head, that anguish. That's all, a lot of low vibrational things, right? But if he's pulled himself out of that enough to focus on this home that he loves so much, the fishing, the deck, the whole house, the whole writing, because I hear him writing, then maybe he found a way to find his own peace, and that's, he willed himself so much to get there
Yeah,
that he's actually there as an intelligent ghost,
yeah.
earthbound spirit.
And
That's an
they've seen him
interesting
at
case.
Sloppy Joe's bar too. That was another favorite watering hole of his.
Yeah. And that's
He
where they have the contest.
Yeah, that's where they have the lookalike contest. It used to
Interesting
be
case.
called the Silver Slipper, and Hemingway convinced the owner to rename it the Sloppy Joe's. There was a restaurant in Cuba, I think Havana, that he frequented, where they had that just loose meat sandwich,
Uh-huh.
and he introduced that to the bar there, and they still serve Sloppy Joe's. Although it's one of the stories is that it originated there. It didn't. Hemingway had eaten it in Cuba, and then told the guy at the Silver Slipper about it, and they renamed the bar that. And he had a seat there Kind of like if you know Lemmy from Motorhead, he had a
Yes.
seat at the, I can't remember I think the Rainbow or somewhere like that in Hollywood. That was his seat. You didn't sit there. That was Lemmy's seat. They had a little plaque and everything there.
Me too, Aunt Edna.
Hemingway had his place there. That he spent a lot of time there too, as well as his villa.
Yep. Yep. And I think there are places, because if you think about it, as a good visual on this would be the five people, the movie version and the book version of the five people you meet in heaven, where he goes through and he meets, as he passes, he goes through and meets five people that he had an impact on, or they had an impact on him in different stages of his and their lives. So you got to read the book or watch the thing. But one of the things that they kind of portray, also very much like uh, what what dreams may come. Is that correct? What dreams may come? Robin Williams,
Yeah.
that whole thing. Okay, again, another one where that visual is really good about what might go on in a person that's kind of like back and forth, stuck in the middle, and working through those feelings. Again, time, right? It's different, so they could be in there a very long time or moments, and it seemed like forever. So it's very odd in that direction, but it's interesting to see them portray it as, I just thought it, now I'm here. So one of the people he meets in heaven is his the love of his life, his wife, and she likes to go to weddings, so she keeps just hoping to go, wishes herself kind of, or thinks herself into a wedding that might be going up there, because somebody else's heaven might be also going to weddings or getting married. And it just all kind of meshes together. And then she goes to another one and another one. And it's just like whatever she wants to do, or instantly think about a cabin by a lake fishing. Boom, you're there. So I'm wondering, like, say with Hemingway, just trying to sort out the habits of ghosts, and the individuality of those, and how different they are, and the energy and the ability. It's mind blowing. So if he did do that at this ranch, and then maybe worked through some of those heavy burdens in that passing, and now he's waving at passersby off the porch of Key West, that's fascinating, but still hasn't crossed yet. I doubt he's crossed and come back and visited, but what do I know? I'd have to have more information on that, but those are my thoughts so far. This is something else interesting about him. For the last 2 decades of his life, the FBI had a file on Hemingway, while J. Edgar Hoover kept a close eye on Hemingway during the 1950s. He kept a close eye on everybody. He had a file on everybody, Hoover did. And the biggest file of all should have been his, because
Yeah,
they
right.
finally got him with a file, didn't they, Steve?
Yeah, yeah.
Old Edgar. Yeah.
J. Edgar had some secrets of his
They
own,
got
shall
some
we say.
film
But,
of him and
That was all
compromising
during
positions.
they were worried about Hemingway's frequent trips to Cuba, but
Yep.
I don't know at that time that he was spying on anybody. He just liked to go to Cuba, but that was during the, the
A time when people paid attention to such things.
the Un-American Ways Committee. Desi Arnaz, they tried to come down on him. He was
Man, the whole MacArthur
very
thing.
proud to be an American and would never have betrayed his country.
Right.
The communist witch hunts that they had back then barked up a lot of wrong
They're always
trees.
going after the wrong people at the wrong time, right, Steve?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like the elephant in the room. It's just like, what elephant? And then, but let's go pick on the little guy over here, or whatever. It's just nuts. Anyway, it was revealed that Hemingway was recruited as a spy by the Soviet Union during World War II, shortly before making a trip to China in 1941, when Hemingway, using the code name Agent Argo, that's a good one, huh? Fed the Soviets any intelligence. Well, how do you know? First of all, I mean, to go through all that, and then you're going to get to the gate and go, I got nothing, and walk away. What the? I don't get that. And how did they know? He never said anything to anybody. We made sure of that. We're pretty confident we're correct on that one. Hemingway survived 4 car accidents and 2 plane crashes on consecutive days. The plane crashes took place in 1954. the same year that Hemingway was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. Hemingway also survived a string of illnesses and other threats to his general longevity, including skin cancer, malaria, pneumonia, diabetes, and hepatitis. And in the end, his life was ended not by accident, but by his own hand in 1961, age 61. Hemingway unlived himself. So there's that. Those sensitive to spiritual energies claim to hear the tip tap click clack of the typewriter. That was good. That's fun. Let's do that again. Tip tap click clack. That's fun. Of the typewriter. Is this the poltergeist that waves from the second story veranda, as we heard in the show? Others have spotted a six-toed specter, a phantom furry feline. Some cite a third poltergeist on the property smoking cigarettes as she stands against the garden gate, and that's the one that Steve told you about, where the butts are actually dropped below.
And it's from cigarettes that haven't been made in decades.
Mm-hmm.
Yet
How about that?
Are fresh.
Yeah.
And I question their use of the word poltergeist for those. It's just.
I'm right there with you. Thank you. Yeah. I think, again, people think that's interchangeable, and now you've got a lot of people saying
it's German noisy ghost, but it's a mischievous ghost, a prankster ghost. These are, I think, impressions or imprints or something non-poltergeist.
I think in some ways, too, the poltergeist is also more leaning nowadays in the paranormal jargon of it not being anything that was ever human at all, but more of an energy, a gathering of negative energies, either dispelled from the homeowner that has abilities and doesn't know it, and it's all the negativity that's happened in the house, to where we hear something like in the Lizzie Borden case, where this thing that's never been human, but it has built itself off of all these energies that are slung off into the house, has collected there and almost created its own life form of shadow globs, I guess, and noisy bangy things, and just a lot of erratic energy, which causes a lot of noise and stuff. So it's not as interchangeable as, say, like haint or wraith or or specter or anything like that. Poltergeist, I agree with Steve 100%. It's more of a separate kind of a thing. And it does actually stem from, exactly as Steve says, it means noisy ghost in German, you said, right, Steve? I believe it's German, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And here this person or whatever is actually just using this as basically, a mixture of just little quips about Hemingway. And they're using it thinking it's interchangeable with the word ghost, I believe.
Well, I mean, he makes noise, and I think that's where they're getting at. But that's
right.
It's not my definition of a poltergeist encounter.
Mm-hmm. Hemingway once adopted a six-toed cat from a sea captain. We heard about that in the story. Choosing to breed the feline for six-toed kittens. Bless his heart. Descendants of the six-toed cat still populate the property, but some claim that Hemingway's original still remains, and that's the one that they say.
The ethereal cat that they see is supposedly his first one.
How about that? Okay, on to the next. I got to go get some hot water for my tea. More honey. Who's this again? I forget.
The crowning jewel of the Old Town section of San Diego is La Casa Estudillo. Built in 1829 by Jose Antonio Estudillo, the structure is one of the oldest buildings still standing in the state of California.
See, here's the rule. If you're going to have candlesticks, you have to get somebody to straighten those son of a guns every day, or get you some fake candles. Now, I understand if you're going to do a museum, you want those hand-dipped, old-fashioned ones, and that's fine. But they usually hold up pretty good. But you got to get in there and straighten those things, because this is silly. Just don't go this far and then quit. Just my words. I'm no Martha Stewart, thank God.
That bothers my OCD to see them curved and out of kilter like that.
I had to say something.
The shadows back there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know how cool they would look if they were straight? If you're going to do it. And no affront to the people running the museum. I realize it's hard, just dust in this place, but it's the same to me as if that picture was crooked.
It's hot in San Diego too, year round, pretty much. 80
then you're
going
to have to look. If you're going to have to change them out, and lay those things down and hand roll them back straight. Whatever you need to do, hire somebody to get on it. Get a candle expert in there. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it right, or stop doing it. That's all I'm saying. It's just a pet peeve. It's like if that picture had been hanging cockeyed crooked on that wall, wouldn't that make you nuts? Think about it.
Yep.
Come on, I'm not the only one in the room. Let's be honest. Right, Steve?
The sprawling adobe compound gives visitors an accurate look at 19th century life in the Spanish Southwest.
It looks hot. It looks hot. I gotta get some
La
water.
Casa de Estadio is first and foremost a defensible enclosure. The standard construction style from this period is adobe bricks. Some of the walls here are between 3.5 and 4 feet in depth. And if you'll notice, the entire house is enclosed so it can be defended. As such, we do have this lovely courtyard, but it also can operate as a small fort if need be.
The home served as the social mecca for old San Diego and features 12 rooms surrounding the central courtyard. Entertaining and relaxing were prime activities of the Estadios.
The sala, in particular, continues to convey what it must have been like for a wealthy landowner on a day like today when it's just warm and a cool breeze. It's easy to envision what life might have been like in that room, perhaps reading a book, a glass of wine, or a cigar.
The Estadios lived in the house with their 11 children. To step into the house is to step back into history, to see what life was like in California before it became a state. The home is now a popular tourist attraction in San Diego, drawing thousands of visitors each year. But it is the visits of long-dead residents that provide a haunting look at 19th century life. In 1993, John Lamb had his own ghostly encounter.
I was chatting with a state park worker, and as we entered the sala, I glanced into the opposite corner of the room, and I saw him. And it's kind of amusing now in retrospect that the ghost researchers should look and be surprised by seeing a ghost. I was surprised. He was wearing a white shirt, an older-fashioned white shirt. His form was opaque and somewhat translucent, but there's no question he was there. I don't think he was aware of me. To a certain extent, it was almost like a sort of blurred or faint television image that I caught a view of for a moment.
Another spirit, perhaps belonging to one of the Estadio children, has been detected in the old playroom.
It was about closing time and it was quiet, so I decided to take a break and I came over. I was just looking around in the different rooms. I just look around. I've never expect to see anything. I walked over to the child's room and I looked at the rocking chair and I noticed that it was moving back and forth really slowly. I mean, it was definitely moving, definitely moving.
The ghostly activities at La Casa Estadio led reporters from a local newspaper to the home in 1988. After feeling extreme cold and seeing a flashing red light in the master bedroom, the reporters had seen enough. However, the ghost wasn't through. An expensive camera lens somehow jumped from its case and smashed on the floor. When the reporters played back their tape recorder, they heard a haunting message from the spirit world, telling them to get out. What ghost haunts La Casa Estadio? The experience of a female state employee may offer a clue.
She becomes aware of what looks like a fully physical figure in a robe in the chapel, gliding silently toward the doorway leading to the priest's bedroom. As she enters the room, the figure has vanished. The air is cold and still, the classic ghostly cold spot. She backs away and subsequently searches the entire house and finds no one.
A well-dressed man from old California, a Spanish padre, and other ghostly apparitions seem unwilling to leave La Casa Estadio. What keeps them here?
I'm not surprised at the number of reports of ghost phenomena here. The house is tremendously evocative. Walk through the portals, You walk back in time 160 years. Very seldom have I visited this house, and I have not had the sense that at any moment you might not expect to see a former resident step outside. In its own way, it's a place of magic.
Other magical experiences have been linked to the spirit of one of America's great artists, John James Audubon. When we return, we'll visit his haunted mansion by the sea.
This next one is interesting, but I wanted to say, because I've always really loved the whole story about Audubon, and going through and sketching all the different birds and flora and fauna that he saw, and the Audubon Society and that whole thing, which is one of the reasons I used it in Cabin 22. There's so many different nods in that novel. I mean, it's really wild, the different stuff that it just woven in there. And some of it I don't even remember doing intentionally, but there it is. So this last one was interesting too, because I don't know what it is about it, because if you spoke about it and said, okay, it's in the middle of the desert, it's hot, it's very like that cold feeling kind of stone, even though it's hot, it just looks so bright and just reflecting all that light and that sun and that heat. But oddly enough, it once you show it where he said you're kind of walking through the portals and you're going back in time, it almost seems like it's more of a, like he said, like almost like a magical place where you are kind of walking back in time. And I could seeing a lot of specters there doing that same thing, walking around in that that kind of inner garden there and all that. It's just got a weird feeling about it. Did you see that one, Steve?
Yeah.
That last one they were talking about? It's kind of got a weird feel to it. Like a welcoming kind of feel, not a foreboding kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I'm surprised, and then maybe we're just not to it yet, but if they're doing San Diego, I'm surprised they didn't mention the Whaley House.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I don't know. Some of these are ones you didn't hear very much about all the time. Like how often do you hear about the Molly Brown? And this one's the Audubon. It's such an interesting character in our history, with the Audubon Society and the sketching and the art of these beautiful birds that we still use those pictures today. And how it grew from just one guy. Just goes to show what one person can do, guys. And how it can spread through time. It's amazing. And he did it with nature. It's very awesome. Cool house. Well, this is his.
One place where the past comes alive, both physically and spiritually.
Of course, listen to the birds.
The luxurious Audubon House in historic Key West, Florida.
All the birds.
The legendary artist John James Audubon was a frequent guest at the house, and it is named for him today. Famous for his meticulous depictions of rare birds, the painter and naturalist arrived in the Florida Keys in 1832. Audubon was delighted with the large variety of water birds he found there. Drawn to the big house with a beautiful garden, Audubon was able to pursue his passion for painting birds and enjoyed some of his best years, personally and artistically. If Audubon was aware of the presence of ghosts, he kept that knowledge to himself. But to modern-day visitors, there is no doubt that the Audubon House is one of the most haunted houses in the country.
Different people feel ghosts in different ways, but when you walk this house, many times in the day, but especially at night, if you walk about through the rooms, there's just such a presence there. You can feel the activity that's taking place here. There's some pleasant energies, some not so pleasant energies, but they're definitely still alive all throughout the house.
The Audubon House was built in 1830 by a U.S. naval officer sent to Key West to defend local ships from pirates. Captain John Geiger had local shipbuilders construct the house for him.
It's got some very interesting features about it because it was built by the ship's carpenters.
Although the home looks like a typical antebellum mansion found in the sultry southern states, it has some unique nautical differences. Like a wooden sailing vessel, the Audubon house is fit together with pegs and interlocking joints instead of nails. The upstairs veranda is tilted so as to let water run away from the house, and the bottom floor is equipped with heavy doors and shutters built to withstand the wind and waves generated by hurricanes. Surrounding the home is a lush tropical garden, resplendent with hundreds of brilliant flowers and towering plants. Trees planted in the 1830s still shade visitors from the sweltering Florida sun. Captain Geiger became an expert at navigating the treacherous reefs surrounding Key West. His nautical skill enabled him to salvage wrecked ships in the Keys. And even if he couldn't save the ship, he often was able to save the cargo. Captain Geiger began to adorn his home with beautiful furnishings from around the world that he had taken from the various shipwrecks. Guests of the Geigers lounged in the sitting room, featuring a gold harp made in Ireland by John Egan in 1790.
Wow.
The sitting room also houses an octagonal Chinese tea caddy and a globe-shaped sewing basket.
Holy mackerel.
An air of old Key West opulence can be felt in the master bedroom. The canopied four-poster bed is from the Duchess of Kent collection and dates back to 1780. The elegant dining room looks as if the Geigers are still expecting company.
Straight
The table
candles.
is set with Chinese trade porcelain from the 1790s, accentuated by glittering antique crystal. A rare Georgian bookcase has kept the family china for over 2 centuries. The room is lit by a graceful crystal chandelier. It is the upstairs children's room that truly provides an animated peek into the past. A Virgil Clavier teaching piano waits in the corner for a new pupil. Inline roller skates, popular toys in the 1800s, still lay scattered on the floor. And an 18th century Italian puppet theater must have provided hours of adolescent laughter. Captain Geiger and his wife had 9 children. While the family lived life to the fullest, they were not immune to tragedy.
One of the big things was yellow fever. Yellow fever, with all the mosquitoes on the island, it was a big problem. The 3rd floor children's room, it's a little less commonly known as the yellow fever quarantine, because that's where the children, many of whom did die from the yellow fever, that's where they were quarantined in their final days.
Oh, jeez.
The Geigers lost 3 of their children to yellow fever and another to an unfortunate accident in the garden.
Outside in the yard, there's the tropical almond tree. And one of Geiger's sons, he was climbing up the tree, picking some fresh tropical almonds. When he was up there, he lost his footing, fell to the ground. He didn't die right then, but he was very seriously injured in the fall. And it was a few days later that he did die, again up in the children's room.
The 2nd floor children's room looks as it did 150 years ago. Toys and dolls look as if their young owners have just left, soon to return and play again. Some say the Geiger children indeed do return to play, again and again.
Nowadays, employees at the house, when they're closing down at night, they'll hear noises coming from upstairs. It often sounds like the patter of little children's feet running back and forth. They'll come in the morning trying to get the lights to go on. They can't get them on. Turns out that the bulbs of the chandelier have been unscrewed.
What?
The alarms in that room go off in the middle of the night all the time. Heat sensors pick up movement.
Birthday
When the police
cake,
come over,
everybody.
they come to
Cake.
check it out. Nobody's been moving around up there.
One haunting custom of 19th century America
That's
was
beautiful.
the painting of portraits that grieving parents had made of their dead offspring.
Oh, jeez.
Paintings intended to somehow keep the memories of that child alive.
in Geiger's time, before they had the photography, of course, they wouldn't have memories of their children. And when a child passed away, as soon as the death had happened, they'd bring in the artist. Many times they'd do a family portrait. Other times they'd just take the child, and they'd prop them up, and they'd paint them. And the artist was usually able to capture their look for the most part, with the exception of the eyes. Because the eyes, after they were deceased, never looked the same as they did in life. And with the paintings in this house, you can really tell with some of them that, yes, it was a deceased child they were painting.
That's just so creepy.
I was
If
just
the
thinking
haunting
that. That's
eyes of
creepy.
long-dead children aren't unsettling enough, consider the Audubon House's mysterious, disappearing demon doll.
Don't look, Ted. Don't
It
look.
was crafted in the image of a deceased infant. When the doll maker completed it, she placed it next to the infant. They said you could not tell which was which. Now, one theory says that the infant started possessing the doll at that point in time. The other theory says one of Geiger's children, who had died from yellow fever, started haunting it when it came to the house and was placed up in the children's room. It was interesting. The doll never liked being photographed. Many photographs showed a thick black streak going from corner to corner, almost as if it was saying, "No photos." Well, there was a gentleman here who he heard about the haunted doll and he laughed. No, there's no such thing as haunted dolls. Well, they told him it doesn't like being photographed. Talked about the black streak that comes across many of the photos. He went in, I'm going to get some pictures. He took about half a roll of film. He got out, the house was closing up. He left, got in his car. As he was driving away, camera casing popped open. Roll of film came out and unraveled. The pictures were all exposed and destroyed. Next day, he came back to reshoot the doll. It was gone. Now, some people, they say it was stolen. Other people said she just got up and walked away all on her own.
Although ghostly children seem to be the most active spirits at the Audubon House, the specter of a well-dressed 19th century gentleman has been witnessed, still haunting the house and garden.
A lot of times people will look and they will see a man dressed in Victorian-style clothing sitting on the second floor railing or pacing back and forth on the second floor. Others talk about seeing him sitting in his rocker, just rocking back and forth upstairs, looking out over the gardens. There's been sightings in the garden. They do see a man, again, dressed in Victorian-style clothing, and he'll walk about the gardens just strolling along, not with any certain purpose, but more looking like they're just walking around and enjoying themselves.
More than likely.
Although Audubon spent many happy and creative
Look at
days in Key West in life, it is unclear as to why he would choose to return here in death. Some ghost hunters believe that Audubon has returned to reveal his true identity, the royal son of King Louis XVI
Of course,
and
that's
Marie
it.
Antoinette. The
Of course.
legends swirl, but the fact remains: somebody or something continues to haunt the house.
There's been talk of apparitions moving around. A lot of people, because it's the Audubon house, they automatically say, well, hey, that must be Audubon. There's a good possibility he came back. He did find Key West beautiful for the short time he was here. Other people speculate that it might be one of the Geigers, perhaps Captain Geiger himself.
Whoever he is, the elegant gentleman ghost has apparently returned to the house he once loved. Next, we'll step into the beautiful Via Montezuma, where some say the spirit of a gifted pianist is still tickling the ivories. Back in 1887, San Diego was a boom town. Recently connected to the rest of the nation by a railroad, it attracted thousands of new residents.
Choo-choo.
The incredibly ornate Via Montezuma was
Look at that
one
house,
of the first
Steve.
tangible symbols of the Southern California boom.
The cupola.
It was built by John and William High. It was built for a musician whose name was Jesse Shepard. The High brothers wanted to bring culture to San Diego, and they thought if they could attract a celebrity here, build them a house, it would become kind of a cultural center.
Famed
Love the hat.
pianist
Love
Jesse
the hat.
Shepard made the most of the offer, ordering up the finest in building materials and interior furnishings. The eccentric Shepard incorporated architectural styles from every corner of the globe.
The house is considered Queen Anne architecture, but it has Gothic elements to it with the gargoyles and kind of a Moorish Russian influence in the four towers also. Upstairs, that was his Turkish retreat. That's where he kept his really valuable art treasures, and he didn't let just everybody go up there. Just the select few were allowed to go up there.
Shepard was a talented virtuoso who would entertain visiting luminaries in his elegant music room.
Have you ever heard of this guy, Steve?
No, I never heard of it.
This is a special. We've saved the best for last, folks, because I think this is this one, and then it's like it's about done. This one was so bizarre. I had never heard of this case. I've never heard of this guy. This is a trip. But apparently he was somewhat of a channeler, like they're saying medium, but I would say more of a trance medium or a channeler, because he could play like Bach with one hand and Mozart with the other at the same time.
A true musical savant.
Yes, so a savant as well, but he also had this little thing going on with the spirit world. So, you know what I mean? It's interesting, and I'm thinking about digging a little deeper into this one. But it's interesting.
Briefly heard about him. Didn't he claim that he channeled some of those melodies and
I
pieces
think
of
so.
music that
I think
they
so.
came from the ether or something flowery like that he said? But
Yeah, but again, with
he
all
would
this,
could just sit down and start playing like automatic writing.
Here
But
it
it was
comes.
automatic playing.
I think so. There's,
I remember correctly.
so many people. I don't think that, I don't want to say it's uncommon, but it's. I've heard of that happening to a lot of people, whether it be in writing or playing an instrument, like you said, or composing music or whatever. But this, I just find it funny that this is mixed in with the whole haunting stuff, and I had never heard it. And if I had, I forgot about it. But it's such an interesting.
Same, it all kind of runs together after
I
a
know.
while.
After a while, it gets there, doesn't it?
It was here that he honored the masters.
It's true.
Shepard was also drawn to the supernatural. On numerous occasions,
Here we go.
he would enthrall his guests by communicating directly with spirits in the afterlife.
Of course he did. This is wonderful.
He would go silent till Beethoven or Mozart or Chopin. The spirit of the dead musician, Jesse felt, was channeling through him to play the music. So his concerts were a combination seances and concerts. We have eyewitness accounts where he would play Beethoven with one hand and Mozart with the other.
See?
After
Wow,
a
wow,
while,
wow.
Jesse Shepard tired of his San Diego haunt and traveled to Europe to display his talents. By 1920, Shepard
Look at
had
those
burned
windows.
through
Oh.
his fortune.
Wow.
Now, almost broke, he returned to Southern California. L.A. was his last stop.
He was at a salon or an afternoon of music that he often held on Sundays, and people would come, and someone had heard that he was broke, that he had hawked the last piece of jewelry that had been given to him by the crowned heads of Europe, and he played his music, and he hit his last note, and he was dead at the piano.
Villa Montezuma has seen many owners in its long history, but the spirit of Jesse Shepard seems intent on staying on. Oddly enough, neighbors have reported hearing enchanting classical piano concertos emanating from the mansion.
Jesse Shepard apparently was a very talented medium, and if you conduct seances over a period of time in a spot, you may literally charge that spot like a psychic battery, thereby providing a venue for other paranormal activity. The other thing that potentially may play a role in this is the apparent suicide of a butler who apparently hung himself in the cupola. And suicides over history have seemingly shown themselves to be excellent candidates to be ghosts.
It's always in the
One of the
cupola.
most consistent things that seems to be happening, and this is from residents in the neighborhood, they apparently very routinely report seeing
the
figures
fog,
moving
Steve,
in
it's in
this
the
building
fog.
late at night when there's no one here. Sometimes in the cupola, other times upstairs. But there's no doubt in their mind that whatever is moving around in here isn't human.
Truly the spookiest house in San Diego, Villa Montezuma holds fast to the physical and spiritual treasures of the past. Next, we'll travel halfway across the country to Denver's Croak Patterson Mansion,
You
a
go
French
last one.
chateau that is literally buzzing with ghostly activity.
We're kicking it tonight, Steve. Look at us, staying on time, handling business. Look at us.
Downtown Denver, Colorado seems like a strange place for
That's
a
a
French
house.
chateau, which in itself is a pretty strange place. The Croak Patterson Mansion has never really fit in.
This was originally built for a man named Richard Croak. He had come to Denver
Is that the
in
same
the
guy again?
1870s, a school teacher from Wisconsin.
He's back,
But rather
Steve.
than teaching school in the Mile High City, he rather becomes a carpet salesman, eventually expands into drapes, blinds, home furnishings, and has quite a big fortune and empire by the late 1880s when he commissions architect Isaac Hodgson to design this based on a French Loire River Valley chateau from
What's up,
the
Orphan
16th century.
Mr. Croak refused to move into his newly built mansion, having experienced an eerie feeling when he first crossed
Mansion,
the
that's a
threshold of the
castle.
home. He sold the mansion to the Patterson family, and it was eventually owned by a long succession of wealthy Denverites.
Look at
By the
that staircase.
1950s, the mansion had outlived its use as a single-family residence and was divided into apartments.
Of course it was.
By the
Look at that.
1970s, the Croak Patterson Mansion was converted into office space. The ghostly residents of the home did not approve.
I'm
The
glad.
workers are having a terrible time. Those jobs that they are convinced they did yesterday, they find they have to do again today. As if there's some prankster
Serves
that
them
comes
right.
in every night after the work is over and sabotages their efforts. And so the general contractor decides what's needed as a vicious guard dog to protect the property. So they fence it off with barbed wire, put warning signs up, vicious killer guard dogs on duty. Few days after they put the
Poor
dog
dog.
in the premises, they come to work one morning, there's the dog, dead on the sidewalk, outside the mansion.
Oh,
Broken
no.
windows up on the 3rd floor, where apparently some demon chased or threw the dog out of the mansion.
Holy shit.
I had no idea. Oh
Once
my
the
gosh.
offices were in place,
Oh
the
my-
phantoms of the
my
mansion made their
stars.
presence known to the humans now on the premises.
Oh no.
No sooner is it occupied as offices than typewriters start turning themselves on and clicking away. Copy machines start making copies of non-existent documents. The phone banks light up and start flashing, and mysterious calls
that
are
guy needs his
coming
own
into
show.
the place.
I'm telling
Are
you, man.
traces coming out
Holy
of the
shit, Steve.
place on this, and increasingly there's this fear that there's some sort of demon or ghost
Yes,
or at least
yes.
poltergeist haunting the
Demon
mansion.
or a ghost or a
poltergeist.
poltergeist.
Finally acknowledging that
Sorry,
Obvious.
something
but
was in
you
fact
sound
not right
familiar.
at the mansion, the owner is brought in sight.
Poor dog. Oh,
And amidst
jeez.
this, they decide to have a seance. And in the
Of
middle of
course.
the seance, the medium is
Of
going,
course.
check the basement.
Absolutely.
Check
Right into the basement.
basement. There is the ghost of a young girl haunting the basement. And they go down to the basement and they sound the walls. And sure enough, they find a sealed off hollowed chamber. And when they break through to the chamber, they find sea sand. Lush, beautiful sea sand, something you'd find in Waikiki or the Riviera, totally unlike any of the dirt that is
This couldn't
around
be any better.
Colorado. And despite digging and raking in the sand for quite a while, they can't find anything
Wow.
there and never figured out why that sand was in place.
To this day, no one knows the significance of the sand,
I give him a 9
or
for
if
enthusiasm,
misfortune ever
Steve.
befell a young woman in the Croak
Hard
Patterson
9.
mansion. But few
Strong
can
one.
dispute the presence of haunted spirits within the walls of this Denver monolith. Like so many other great mansions in America, it stands as a monument to those who once lived there. Beloved by residents of this life and the next, they forever serve
Some
as
house,
passageways to another time, and perhaps another dimension.
That's a pretty cool one, wasn't it? That's a good one.
Ghost in the basement. In the basement. I'm sorry. It adds to it. It really
Five
does.
stars. 5 stars. 5
Yeah.
stars. A
Like I said,
9
he
for
needs his own
enthusiasm.
show. He needs his
5
own
stars
network. He needs his own channel.
for the presentation and the approach and the
Somebody said it
Beautiful.
sounds like that guy that took my place on the old channel.
Bless your heart. How about that? Hey Ben, welcome in. Lee, hello Lee. Lee snuck in here.
Lee
Orphan
G.
Annie and
I
a
wonder
bunch
if
of
Lee
others.
can play Brahms with one hand and Beethoven with the
And
other.
Beethoven
If
with the
anybody
other.
can do it, I bet he can.
You got to channel Mozart to do that, Steve. Weren't you listening? You
Yeah,
channel Mozart.
Mozart.
You can play Beethoven and Chopin at the same time, or something like that. Is that right? Am I close?
Something
close.
like that, yeah.
There you go. So listen, that was fabulous. I enjoyed seeing those houses. My favorite was the last house was my favorite, and I gotta admit, I really like the Hemingway house. I'll take if the cats come with. That would be like heaven to me. And you can go out on the porch and drink your tea or your coffee, your funny honey, whatever, and look out over that. Oh gosh,
And watch 50 six-toed cats frolic in the palm trees there.
Where are your questions? And then there's probably some scotch left behind, but yeah, I wouldn't mind sitting down and talking to Hemingway. Sit down and talk to me. Tell me, so what was going on? Tell me, I got time. Let's talk about your life. Let's figure out where we took the wrong, let's sort that, and then maybe you can go on to your rest if he is stuck there. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Coffee.
Coffee that tastes like coffee.
Gotta have your dunks.
Coffee that tastes like coffee. Donuts that used to taste like donuts.
And chicken soup. I'd forgotten all about the chicken
and
soup.
the chili. I don't know where they got it from, but it used to. I don't know. It's probably changed now. Everything's changed now. The chocolate cookies
Dunk
weren't
your
bad.
donut in chocolate or in chicken soup, and then drink coffee with it.
Yeah, but you'd be hard pressed to get a bad chocolate chip cookie. I used to work in a hotel while I was manager of the bar, and the hotel, when you got a room, they'd give you warm cookies. You ever been to a hotel that did that?
No,
it's like, here's your cookie, here's your keys and your cookies.
The only place I've ever been where there were warm cookies is probably because the previous occupant had been sitting on them.
Don't ever take a black light into a motel room.
No.
You want a horror story? You like your creepy pasta? You like to be scared? Rent a hotel room and buy a black light. It's fun. Shut all the lights off and just go around there. And at the same time, bring a recorder and get EVPs, and and then after that have a seance. That's a good night right there, because the energy that goes in and out of these rooms, there's some of all of it is still stuck there, and the black light will tell you what was left behind by the living.
Oh man,
and then
I've stayed in places that if you did that, it would have looked like a Jackson Pollock painting, probably.
There you go. There you go. So what you got going on this week, Steve?
Oh gosh, I got all kinds of things going on.
Spooky week. So let's do this. Let's pick a day, and we'll get whoever's available that night, and we'll do a preamble to Nightmares from the Round Table, so we can at least have something before Halloween or during Halloween, and then we'll have another one. People will see how fun it is, Steve, and they'll want to be part of the next one, and then pick a date, and we'll work around there so we can get some new people in, and maybe some old people returning. It'd be great.
Yep.
Let's just get together and tell ghost stories.
We'll have a date soon.
And I need you to grab a date for the live listen Cabin 22. I mean, you were the one who started the darn thing.
Pick one.
And we'll get you in there.
Let me know. I'll have to look at my calendar.
And bring bacon popcorn. Bring, again, guys, any of your treats. I mean, even if it's a fun little thing. Listen, if kids never saw the napkin Tootsie Roll Pop ghosts that we used to get and stuff like that, it might be something new to them. So don't think that something old still can't, or put your own twist on it. I've seen them done in a different kind of material instead of the napkin, and just different colored yarn and stuff like that, the big difference it makes. But whether it's card making or dip
I've seen
doing
where
or
people would take and hang those by ribbons from the ceiling, so there's all these ghosts floating around.
so
And then
cool.
during the party, the kids could, grab a ghost off the ceiling.
Hmm. And if you have the right size helium balloon, latex balloon filled with the right amount of helium, it'll actually float them. And as it gets, as the night gets goes on, I mean, depending,
Then
a
they
lot of times they'll
descend.
start to sink. Yeah, and with lots of curly ribbon, that's a really nice, easy, inexpensive way to really pop a whole room, especially if you're just, having kids or whatever over. But those little ghosts, Tootsie Roll Pop. Who doesn't like a good Tootsie Roll Pop now and then? If you say you don't, you're probably a liar. Probably one of them that drives alone in your car and eats stuff like that. But
Yeah.
everybody's got a favorite.
Everybody,
Mine was
yeah,
chocolate.
we got Halloween candy. We're going to have to buy more because we were eating the 2 packs that we bought, most of it anyway.
Yeah, Mario got away with I think it was four uh Halloweens in a row where I was at I'd never been in a senior community before, where you got a 55 and over kind of deal. I didn't know there was a rule here at this one where you couldn't trick or treat. I'm like a putz. I'm buying candy, and he's having me get all his favorites and his big bowl of candy. Well,
Because
I
he
guess I
knew
better eat the
it was
leftover.
a
Yeah, he
psyop.
knew.
Get this
He
and
knew
this and
it
some
was
of
a
that, and we'll
psyop,
give it to the trick or treaters. Oh
and he
wait,
got me.
there are no
Like
trick or treaters. I guess
for
I'll have to eat it.
one year, I was in combat boots and dressed as a witch, big old hat, and I was dressed like a witch. I mean, I had it going on, the big hat, the veils, the layers of clothes. I look like the snot hag, but better clothes. And these combat boots, I'll never forget it. And I see some kids off in the distance. It's really happened, I swear. I mean, I've got everything decorated. I've got like loops and ghost loops on the garage, all this different stuff. And I'm out there dressed like this with this big bowl of candy, and I've got those sticky gummy things that you can like you hang on to them and you flick them and they stick to glass, and then they walk down the glass, but it's got like a flicker on it, so you could flick and hit somebody and it'll come back to you because it's got a tail, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, the real
Those
sticky.
sticky hands, yeah.
Yeah. But I've got spiders and skulls and ghosts, and I've got Reese's, and I got good stuff, and I've got all this stuff in this big bowl. And I see some kids off in the distance, and it's really cool because I lived right behind a nursery that did it was called Berry Farms. It's closed now, but it was Berry Farms. And then in October it went to what, folks? Scary Farms. And it was
Oh, I
very
love
cool.
it.
Yeah, they did a big haunted thing. You could hear kids screaming, and teenagers are all over, had jobs. It was wonderful. And they did a good job too. And the fog would roll down my street. So picture, if you will, Halloween night, there's fog rolling down my street, and I see kids in the distance, and I got this bowl of candy, and I'm mad because I haven't had a trick-or-treater all night, and I don't understand why they're going to a certain thing and then turning and doing a U-turn and leaving. I don't get it. So I start chasing after these kids, throwing candy and sticky spiders at them and shit. Take the candy, take the candy. And I've got these big old uh, uh, combat boots on, so I'm like tripping a curb and catching myself, and I caught myself. I didn't fall, but it must have looked terrible coming in the fog. This crazy
The
witch with a
kids
big old
ran like
hat.
hell too,
It
didn't
ran
they?
like hell, they did, the little shits. And I'm just, so there was sticky
Let's
stuff and
get out of here.
Snickers and Reese's peanut butter cups all over the place. And at the next day, I don't know who got them, probably the dog walkers or something. But anyway, they were stuck all over the place. It was crazy. I still wound up bringing a lot of it home. But I would love to heard the story that they had that Halloween. We were chased by a witch coming out of the fog, throwing sticky things at us, man. It's like, just take it. This one older kid was like, come on, and ran, with the smaller
Let's get
kids.
out of here.
There's a bunch of them. But anyway, so I don't buy candy anymore. But how sucko is that? I miss the trick-or-treaters. I miss the whole thing. We got to make our own fun on Halloween, Tone. Steve. I forgot who the hell you were.
It says it right there on the screen.
It does. All right, newlyweds. Good to see you.
Right here.
My love to the missus. I'm a paranormalist. I'm working on my PhD. We got the BS degree. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. And happy Halloween to you. Don't forget to put some of your recipes or links. Now, tonight was really fun, and last night was too. We were talking about laughter and music and all that other stuff. And before we go, in the link of the description, there is a link to a movie called, and I've talked about it before, American Pop. You cannot be sad watching this movie.
I love that movie.
The visual effects of this movie, you see some of it in I think I have it.
I believe it's
Yes,
Ralph
I do.
Bakshi Animation that did that. I believe. I'm not sure.
Sir, I do not know, but I'll tell you this. When you see this movie, you'll never forget it. If you've seen it before, maybe to revisit it because it's one of those you could see again. But it goes through almost the history of music kind of in America, the bringing in of all the different cultures and the mix and how, you started out, singing on maybe the ships and the docks and the workers and the fields and everything, and then in the bars, and how it all came together into all the different types of music and different types of people throughout that in this. I
It
think one or
was
two bloodlines, was it not?
produced and directed by Ralph Bakshi. So if you're familiar with his animation, it's stellar stuff.
It's
It came out in
stunning.
1981.
Oh
It
God,
is.
it's stunning.
It's a
And
visual treat.
oh God, it really
And
is.
the music is just incredible.
You can't beat it. So that's the thing. Um, it's in the link is in the description. Will take you to a YouTube channel where you can buy or rent it. I think it's $3. Don't despair if you don't have it or you can't get it in your country. It is also available for, I believe, free on Pluto, and it's on multiple other things. So look at Amazon Prime and some of the other ones, or your Roku or whatever. But it's American Pop 1981, and in this song, this is Ella's interlude by DJ Williams. This song blows you away, and I want to take you guys out of here on a high note. We will see you next Sunday when the fun begins with Ron Murphy, the Rougarou, the Dogman, Wolfman. We're going to do a whole thing on that, and then we're going to start Cabin 22. I hope to see you there with your bacon caramel popcorn. Throw your recipes in the comments underneath the video. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the new subscribers. God bless you. We're at 2,000. It's hard earned, but it's the cream of the crop, baby.
Here's to the
Thank
next
you for
2,000.
being here. Happy
Always.
Halloween. And let's celebrate, right, Steve? I'll see you during the week. We'll talk about some dates, and
Yep.
we are out of here. So in this clip
Good night,
of Dance
everybody.
the Blues Away, look at the clips from American Pop. They kind of stand out. They make you feel good. So go find that movie and feel good this week. I love you all. Good night, everybody. Good night, Steve.
Good night.